Okay, welcome to another show. And honestly, might as well just call it Welcome to Hell, okay? Because we're going to be talking about Pearl, obviously. And yeah, this interview, I'm going to tell you this, will give you brain damage. So consider this a parental advisory warning for those of you guys who need an adult in the room, because I know I need one. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But I know for a fact this woman, Pearl, wherever she came from, I don't know. She is stupid, like just insanely stupid. And after this interview, or I wouldn't even call it a debate. It's not even a debate. It's more of like, picture a father trying to guide their young toddler to just some common sense. Okay, just picture that for 2.5 hours. I shit you not. And this toddler is just making arguments for things that obviously are clearly wrong. And you can tell their opinions aren't well fleshed out, because even when challenged, it realized, yeah, some of your ideas, you got them from bloggers or people or opinion pieces, right? A lot of these bro science that we talk about when these guys refer to statistics to back up their claims on their red pill talking points, right? And I'm surprised it's made it this far. But yeah, just think about a dad guiding their toddler into, just a logical conclusion. And I could tell Michael Knowles, he didn't want to be really, really rough handed with Pearl, because, I mean, to be honest, they're all on the same side, the same conservative right wing side. Now, Michael Knowles is pretty cool. I mean, he's pretty just tamed down. He is partnered with the Daily Wire. So I guess, Ben Shapiro and, all that nonsense. Go figure. So that's what's happening. So, I mean, no surprise that actually Pearl is around these group of people too as well. Okay, so it just makes sense. But again, his conservative ideology is kind of more in line with Pearl. But again, this is a perfect showcase of how extreme a lot of these pill poppers are, right? Although they are merged with a lot of Republicans and right wingers and conservatives, right? You could see the clear difference between a alt-right Pearl, Nick Fuentes type of conservative versus like just a mainstream run-of-the-mill conservative like Michael Knowles, right? So these guys went about it, and Pearl, goes in and spews her usual points, and it's just bad, because even when some of it honestly, there were some parts where, like, bless Michael Knowles' heart for the patience he had. I mean, this guy's a saint. I mean, there were certain moments where it seemed like he just exhausted Pearl so much that even when he was agreeing with Pearl, like, Pearl was still frustrated because she just didn't get it. That's what I'm saying. Like, like she has to be an airhead of some kind. Like, there's no way. And just to see how far she's risen through the ranks, where she's getting in interviews with a lot of these conservative people, right? These mainstream conservative commentators. It's very interesting, and I can finally understand the anger Royal Tomasi has. And for those of you guys who don't know, Raul Tomasi is hating hard because he wants to be the guy talking about the red pill to Michael Knowles, not Pearl, right? Because that's why he's out there calling Pearl a grifter. Y'all want to know when the last live stream we did, we were covering Raul Tomasi, this is the interview he was pissed off about right here. This interview he was mad at, right? Because he wishes this could be him, right? And you know what? In a sense, he's kind of right. Like, a lot of these guys, like Pearl and their ideology, because they're not fully fleshed out, and a lot of these people don't know what they're talking about, it's like it does make the red pill look insane, right? Even compared to other conservatives. So it definitely understand where Rolo's coming from. You still a hater though, so we just not. I mean, we're just not gonna bypass that. You still a haterade, bro. Like, you just crazy. But nevertheless, that's just the situation we're in right now. Okay, it's just this debate where Pearl is on, and she's going back and forth. And one of the things that was very alarming to me, and which made me realize that, yeah, this is probably not a troll. Yeah, she's sharp in certain antics, right? In sense of being selfish, when she knows how to be selfish, she's sharp, right? But when it comes to other things, Pearl, she's pretty stupid. Like, I don't think it's even a secret. And this interview solidified it, because I'm starting to realize a lot of that low tone animosity that Pearl had against women, maybe there might be something more to that, right? There might be some deep-seated hatred she has for women, because part of the frustration that I had even watching this, and I'm gonna tell you this, I got through 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That was the best. So y'all are in for a treat, okay? But one of the things that was so frustrating about this was the back and forth that they were having. It's almost like, okay, so they'll have a topic, right? Because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. We're gonna get into it in just a second. They'll have a topic, and almost always Pearl will find a way to twist it to make it seem that the woman was at fault. Even though Michael Knowles will come out and say, "Hey, no, Pearl, come on now. It's a little bit more nuanced than that." I mean, well, what are you talking about? You know, it's not in that. It's nowhere near that. Like, for instance, she would say the statement, "Well, all single motherhoods are responsible for pooping out mass shooters." It's like, well, that's not true, because we don't have a study. There's no concrete study out there that actually correlates any of that. Matter of fact, the one study that there's actually the one other study that's out there basically says that kids who were victims or witnessed domestic violence at home, all right, or neglect, are more likely to engage in mass shootings. Okay, so it's not a situation where it's just, relegated to single motherhoods. But again, it's one of those things where it's just, you gotta bring it back to the women. You gotta blame the women, right? So you guys will notice a little bit of that, and I noticed that too, because it stuck out to me, and I'm like, well, maybe the hatred that she has for women isn't just for clout. Like, she's not doing this as a shock jock. Maybe she genuinely hates women. Like, she actually hates women. And you will see exactly what I'm talking about throughout this insufferable interview. I keep calling it interview, but that's essentially what it felt like. It didn't feel like no debate to me. So again, chat, I appreciate y'all being here, but I'm gonna tell you this: you about to get brain damage because this thing is just that bad. Okay, so we're gonna try to endure as much as I can, and you got to endure with me, all right? Because this is gonna be tough, all right? I don't know if I can make it through. I might just keel over. Y'all just, because I can't stand the way Pearl talks. It's like her voice. Y'all know, like when a teacher claws on the chalkboard or they scratch on the chalkboard, right? When somebody does that. That's what her voice sounds like. Okay, it's just like you got a gaggle of saliva being held to the top of your tongue, with like you just out here talking, and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and it's just like, I can't hear this. I can't hear this anymore. I can't do this. Now you about to be enduring with me for the next hour or so, okay? Or for however long we can last on this, okay? So shout out to you. If you don't have a drink yet, go grab one, because you're gonna need it. But before we get into the video, we gotta go over the most important part of this entire show, and that is you guys. More specifically, the like button, the YouTube like button. You guys being here, I appreciate y'all being here. Y'all could be watching any other content out there. Literally, y'all could just, be on Michael Knowles' channel watching this content right now. But again, you guys choose dukendon, and I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. You guys are here. So don't let your time be wasted. The best way is just to go ahead and smash that subscribe button, because you're sponsoring the show. That's it, right? You guys are the sponsor of today's show. That's it. The best way to do it is just to hit that like button, because we do this for you. I mean, we do this for you. We come out here and give ourselves brain rot, and listening and clowning these guys because of you guys. Shout out to you. So don't let your time be wasted. Go ahead and subscribe if you luck with the show too as well. But more importantly, sponsor it. And that's just hitting the like button. All right. Y'all ready for this? Are y'all ready for this? Oh my goodness. Here comes the shitstorm in 3.
I came to the point where I could see where the guys were coming from. I had a second question too. I wanted to know, why don't men want to get married anymore? I grew up in a 2-parent home. My parents have been married for 30 years. I didn't understand it. And I came to find out that when men have children in this country,
in this country, meaning the U.S.,
in the United States, they're not legally entitled to their children.
What?
And I think it's the biggest issue that we're facing right now. Single mother.
That's a lot. She just made the blatant statement that men who have children in America with women in America or in the West, right? And he specified here in America, are not entitled to their kids. That's not true. That's not true. By definition, like you are. You just have to figure out how much custody you have. Okay, so yeah, it just comes down to how much you spend in the court, but you are entitled to your kid. Most fathers that are dealing with this shit right now don't even know that they have these tools to fight with. That's why we get screwed over in courts, especially in low-income communities. When we talk about a single motherhood, all right, a lot of black men, some of them don't know that they can do stuff and fight for themselves in court if they really want custody. It's that simple, especially here in Wisconsin, right? And I'm not saying it's like that for most states, but I know that in this state, Like they want you to have 50-50. So if you're fighting as a father, you're gonna get 50-50. I mean, that's just how it is.
Other homes, they lead to school shooters. You're more likely to commit crimes, drug abuse. Every problem in society comes from single mother homes. And so, what I found is that men are not getting married not because they don't want relationships, but because they fear divorce.
And divorce rates, I guess it's not that divorce rates are skyrocketing, in part because fewer people are getting married now. But you observed that divorce is, one could say, is at the very heart of the political problem, because marriage, the family, is the fundamental political unit. So you crack that up, you're going to crack up society.
Yeah. So, I have a documentary coming out called Why Don't Men Want to Get Married Anymore, where it really dives into the problems as to why the institution of marriage is failing. So.
Okay. So that answers why men are reluctant to get married now. Now, what do we do about it?
I think the first thing you need to do is switch the laws to make them more favorable and fair. So, for example, the tender years doctrine, do you know what that is?
The tender years? No.
That assumes that the mother is the best one for the child under the age of 7. In some states, it extends to 16.
Yeah.
That's an openly sexist law. That's openly sexist.
What do you mean by sexist?
What?
Because, sometimes people say sexist, and if they're referring to real misogyny or something, I don't like that. But if they're saying,
shout out to Don with the 5 says, dude, Kevin Rivaldo's new channel is called Beyond Self-Improvement. He wants to give you a shout. BT-Way, Crucible on FNF, IDK, BP, Black Pill and Red Pill suck. Dude, the black, all these pills suck. Stop popping these pills before y'all overdose out here. They all suck. Okay, like a lot of these black pillers now. I mean, what is that? What they're obsessed with their faces and meat? They love rating meats out here, right? I mean, again, stop popping these pills. I think it's time for people to go outside. I really think so. Okay, just go outside. You're overdosing too much. Yeah, the black pill's been sucking for years now. Everyone is grifting. Okay, they're all grifting because they realize how stupid a lot of these pill poppers are. Especially the audience. This is why we try to wake you guys up. We're trying to tell y'all, they've figured out it's a cash grab over here. Everybody's in on it. Now Michael Knowles is in on it, right? He's been on whatever podcast, right? He's been making his rounds in a red pill, just like Candace Owens, just like a lot of these people. Why? Because you guys are cheap. And I'm not saying y'all. Y'all know I'm talking about these pill popping campers over here. like what are y'all doing? Y'all out here just out here with these channels that they know you guys are the ultimate cash grab. So they're grifting. The mask is off at this point. It's like when people complain in society where they're saying, oh, the elites, it's like they don't care anymore about the open corruption and the blatant corruption they're participating in. Yeah, because they know people ain't gonna do shit. Right? It's the same way with these pill poppers. They're openly grifting and they're admitting it, and all the clues are there. And they know their fans are stupid enough to keep supporting it because to them it's like a drug, and it's weird, right? Glassy Ashanti says maybe this was an audition for Candace slot. It's looking like it, but I don't think. I mean, as exhausting as Pearl gets in this interview, I don't think she's going to get the job.
Saying men and women are different. I certainly.
Well, they are different, right? Yeah. But what evidence do we have that the mother is the best one with the children?
Well,
the kids are the most likely to be abused by the mother, not the father, by the mother.
That's a little unclear. That's a little unclear because, for starters, as you just acknowledged, the children are much more likely to be with the mother. Not only in the case of divorce, but also in the case of a married couple.
Why?
Daddy's at work.
But why?
Why?
So the way the laws are set up, it punishes men for being traditional. If you're a traditional,
when I say kids are more likely to be with their mothers, I just mean because even in a traditional family,
right?
I, daddy, am off at work right now, and mommy is home with the kids.
But so what's your point with that?
My point is that his
point is no matter what, whether the parents are together or not, and it's a single mother household, the kid is more, especially at that growing age, they're more likely to be with their moms. So any abuse they're gonna suffer, regardless if they're single mothers or in a relationship, they're still most of the time going to be with the mother. That's the point. So if you're trying to make it seem like this is a single mother issue, because you're saying most of the society's issues are coming from single moms, including abuse from single moms, right? Then you have to include, what about women in marriages? So does that mean that men who get married to women in marriages is that bad too? Like, what's going? That's his point. Okay, gosh, man.
Statistics are a little unclear about this. There was a number from HHS in 2009 showed that women are much more likely to abuse or neglect their children. There's another number from last year from, I think it was the National Child Abuse and Neglect Data Set or something like that, which found that it's a little closer to equal. Women still have a slight edge on abuse, but it's close to sexual parity. But then when you factor in...
Not the biological dad. That includes stepdads. Not the biological father.
No, that's biological father.
No,
It is the 20.
Okay.
Which data set are you referring to?
Well, they've done comprehensive studies over the last 100 years.
But
so
what do you mean by they? Like I'm referring to a very specific data set.
Okay, go ahead.
So in that very specific data set, that would contradict the 2009 numbers from HHS, but nevertheless, it would still prove your point, which is that the women are slightly more likely. But then I guess my point is, right, the women in marriage and outside of marriage are much more likely to be with children all of the time.
Right,
so
but then
the parity is almost
you would see
surprising.
the abuse numbers go down as women have spent less time with children.
What? Where's that coming from? Like, you just throwing shit out there now.
So in the last 50 years, women have worked more.
Hold on, you're saying that children are more likely to be abused in a traditional family with mother and father, or you're saying single father and single mother?
Women are the most likely the ones to abuse the child. And even if you...
But in what context? Is it in a marriage or as a single parent household? Because either way, the kids are spending time with the mothers. So which scenario are we talking about? Be specific. This is what I'm talking about, dude. I already have a headache. Like, what are we doing? MDOT with the 5 shot to you. MDOT says, KS talked about women being fit, feminine, and friendly. Pearl is none of these things, despite getting a consult from Kevin Samuels. Well, listen, the consult from Kevin Samuels was a clout grab. It was no different than Pearl basically going on Fresh and Fit. It was just to boost her channel before she started talking shit about them, and now she's back to being friends with them, right? It's all clout. That's what these guys are doing. So when they're sitting there blaming other people for being clout chasers, watch how they're moving. It's all about clout. So again, she didn't really care about going on there to be a fit feminine woman. All right, look how many access to these red pill content creators she has access to, and yes, she can't find a husband. Really? You're telling me all this time she spent around Donnie Boy? Even Donnie Boy got married. At least he was a single mama, but he's married now. Okay, but Pearl is still single. Okay, you over here trying to tell other people how to, especially people who are married, like how to live their lives, or people who are not married, how to find a man. You don't have a man. Okay, your daddy out here trying to leverage 9 acres and a mule to get a nigga to hook up with you or marry you. Like, I mean, what are we doing over here? Like, this is crazy.
You think abortion's murder, right?
Yeah.
So 1 out of 3 women's had an abortion. I've seen some numbers that say 1 out of 4, but the point is still the same. If 1 out of 4 men committed murder, we would all be.
Though, yeah, I mean,
but the vast majority of murders are committed by men. That's a statistic you can't even deny. Even the prison stats prove that out. Okay, it just, again, what's your point? Are we now going to compare women committing abortion, and then compare that to the murder rates that men commit? Because it's still disproportional. What do you say? Again, we're just throwing out these buzz arguments here. No merit, nothing deep. It's just all surface level. And it's like, you notice how she never goes deep and explain what she's talking about. She just throws these stats out there. What are you saying? Are you saying that 1 in 4 women that are getting abortions, if we're calling this more murder, right? Are you saying that women are committing more murder out there compared to men? Or because that's still not true. What are you talking about?
And so
abortion is murder, but also, there's a lot that goes into that, because there.
And so I just couldn't. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, when we point to an issue like abortion, obviously, that's that is murder. It's not only morally synonymous, it's the same thing. But then also, the male abortionists are involved.
It's murder. Are you comparing it to, like, I don't know, New York's homicide rate or Chicago's homicide rate? What is the point of comparing it to murder? And what is the point of this discussion? Like, what are we doing here? Because even in either case, you can't convince me that women having abortions and you calling it murder is compared to the homicide rate that's out there right now. I'm telling you, probably New York and Chicago will beat that out. We're not even talking about Seattle or LA. All right, it just kill that out of the water. What is the point of this? I don't get it. Again, so let me continue, bro. I'm about to spaz out right now. Like, what are we? We're 6 minutes in, chat. Lord help me. We're 6 minutes in. My goodness.
Involved in the murder, the male legislators who passed.
If I hire a hitman, I'm still responsible.
Sure, but so is the hitman. He goes to jail too.
Yeah.
Right, well, but there's far more women that are hiring a hitman than men performing the act.
What? She is comparing abortions to homicide rates. She's stupid. Oh my God. Oh my goodness, Chad. Oh my goodness, I can't do this. I can't do this. What that is not even an argument you want to go down. What you're saying, the homicide rate for men? Are you trying to say women's abortion is worse than that? Like, what do you? This is not. Yo, more deep shout out to you for the 5. More deep says, after getting knocked off by Brittany Venti, I don't think Rollo has any credibility with right wingers. He looked really, really stupid. Listen, I don't think Rollo realizes all of that shit contributing to the fact that he's not getting calls anymore. No one's calling him because everyone knows he's stupid. You fell for the bimbo ops. All right. you got, bro. Like, how many proton males does it take to fool a Rollo? Apparently 2. I mean, what the fuck? And this guy's supposed to be a well-researched man. He's an idiot gossip queen at the end of the day, looking for juicy drama. As no matter how sophisticated you try to sound, Rollo, at least Pearl is authentic to her stupidity, okay? You're just blind to it, Rollo. That's what it is. This is why Pearl gets invited to these shows, because Michael knows she's an idiot, okay? And she will happily play along. That's why this got a lot of views. But you, Rollo, you're an idiot pretending to be smart. So it just ends up being insufferable. Yeah, listen, I know Pearl's interview is insufferable as well, but at least it's slightly entertaining. And Rollo, you've hit the wall, bro. It's over. Hang it up. All right? I don't think you understood that the wall exists for the men, but I think you're starting to realize that. And chat, it's a real thing. All right, you don't know how men have hit the wall, especially professionally, if people who are higher up don't call you no more. They don't ask for your advice anymore. The pupil has now become the master, and they don't need you no more. That's how you know you've hit the wall. And no one is doing that. That's why Granny over here is over here crying about it whenever anybody around him is getting shine. Because he's not getting those calls no more. You've hit the wall. And all you pill-popping weirdos who are fans of him, y'all need to watch this, because this is what it looks like when a man finally hits the wall. Which is funny, because all he did was talk about women hitting the wall. Yo, I mean, this is just crazy. Yo, Molly C with the 10. Let's get a dub in the chat for Molly. Shout out to Molly. Molly says, here's a little super chat for some headache medicine. I'm going to need it. I'm going to give you some Advil. No, fuck that. We're going with some ibuprofen. Yeah, that'd be strong. Some ibuprofen. Let's go.
Well, I guess in every abortion, it's a woman who's procuring one.
Exactly. Right. That's my point. And so my point is that law is openly sexist.
It's sexist, but men and women are different. So shouldn't it be sexist? Meaning, when a little baby calls out, a little baby is calling out for mommy, not daddy. Now, I'm not saying this is good. I think divorce is unacceptable in pretty much every circumstance. But if there is going to be a divorce.
What do you mean divorce is unacceptable in every circumstance? Okay, so what about domestic abuse? Is divorce unacceptable then? Okay, see, now we start with that kind of argument. This is how we start teeter-tottering towards the Mr. Endure MLD kind of situation. This is what I'm talking about. These Republicans, bro. I'm telling you, dog. Listen, again, fine, that's your point. But there's some circumstances where divorce is absolutely acceptable. Okay, especially in abusive circumstances, and it's high time you guys need to start making room for that, because all you're doing is encouraging people to stay in abusive relationships, and guess what? It's not healthy for the child. And matter of fact, you can talk to Miss Pearly over there, because most children who commit mass shootings come from households who either witness domestic violence or are in where parents are arguing or fighting, and they witness stuff like that. So again, conservative ideology isn't all great. I'm not saying that there are great ideas in there. Of course, there's great ideas in there, but it's not all the best. Okay, come
on. It would seem natural for a little baby to be with the mother rather than the father.
Even if you look at infanticide, it's almost unheard of for men to ever commit it. It's almost 100% the mother.
Well, that's
my point.
That's contradicted by one study.
I don't think it's right that men are not entitled to their children. That's 50% their DNA. It's 50% their child. Why are they not entitled to 50% custody?
And they should be entitled to 100% custody within the context of marriage, which is indissoluble.
Right.
But to the point you just made, where you said fathers don't kill their kids, again, I think statistics are basically fake, but if people are going to cite them, I'm happy to cite them when they buttress my argument. And there was a study came out 2017, I think, from Forensic International Science, something like that, which showed that 57% of the time in cases of killing offspring, it's the fathers who do it, not the mothers. Now, again,
and especially in family murders or family deletions, right? It's usually the father that participates in that, right? So I don't know. Again, Pearl is just throwing things out there to make women look bad. I mean, majority of infantile deaths, it's women. They commit that, right? I mean, the men. I mean, why aren't the men entitled to 50% of their kids? What? It's like arguing with the child. That's what this is. Like, you're not even making any sense.
Again, I'm sure that one can pull some other statistics.
Right, and then you can go into the abortion stats too.
And obviously abortion.
My whole point is that I think that men should be entitled to their children. I don't think it's fair the way the system is. You know, regardless of where you fall, it's not fair that women get custody 90% of the time. It's not fair that men are always paying alimony, they're always paying child support, and that they're punished for being traditional.
What do you mean? Those laws were literally birthed from traditionalism. Okay, back then, I mean, the laws haven't changed. What you're asking for right now for men is equality. That's what you're advocating for. Okay, if you're advocating for equality, you by definition can't advocate for men to be traditional too, because it requires these laws to be in place. All right, alimony, the whole root of alimony was because back then women, you know, they weren't making money like that, right? They weren't working like that. So when the man made all the money and brought home all the bacon, well, guess what? If he took his money and left during a divorce, that woman is high and dry, right? I mean, these are traditional laws that you guys founded. Now you're trying to bring us back, but then you're complaining that the laws are unfair. Okay, fine. But aren't men and women different? That's your argument, right? Men and women are different. So that why are you acknowledging that men and women are different, but you want equal treatment? You're sounding like a hypocrite. You're kind of sounding like the people you're complaining about on the left, now, aren't you? I wonder why.
Because the more time they spend providing for their family, the way they calculate it in child support is they kind of do I gotcha. You know, you did the right thing. You provided for your family. Why are you punished in child custody cases?
Well, you didn't do the right thing if you got divorced.
Right, but it's filed by women 70 to 80% of the time.
It goes even higher, actually.
And
it goes even higher. So
if women are, college educated.
If women are college educated, but I guess this is the key, Pearl. To me, this is the key because, you know, the liberals love to say, see, college educated women, they favor liberal policies, which is true, but I don't think that college education signifies a, particularly strong education.
Okay.
To me, it's clearly a sign of liberalism. So then, I don't mean to blame the victim here if I'm talking about the men, but it would seem to me if you don't want to get divorced, not marrying a liberal woman is a good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
If the more liberal women are, the more likely they are to divorce. It's almost like a truism, right? It's like saying the more likely a woman is to support divorce, the more likely she is to divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then why would a man marry a woman who would support divorce?
I agree with that. I actually agree with Michael No's point there. Because, it makes sense. Don't go for the things that are more likely to bite you, right? You're not going to kiss a scorpion in the face, right? I mean, that's stupid. That's not a smart idea. But then you ask the men who are complaining about this online, well, guess who are the women they are yearning to be around? It's these very same liberal women, okay? Look at all these red pill bozos when they're talking about we want traditional women, but look at all the liberal women they're hanging around with, all the OnlyFans subscriptions they're signed up to. They're all liberal women. So again, these men are choosing their own poison, yet they're complaining about it online. That's the problem. And they get mad at us for calling it out, but it's like, yo, somebody's got to wake you up, buddy, because you're the cause of it. No matter what, you're the 100% constant in your life. So you sitting there talking about, oh, this went bad for me. Look what you're doing. Look who you're dealing with. You're on her OnlyFans, my dog. Like, what do you expect? You found her on Seeking Arrangements. What do you think was going to happen? I mean, these guys don't think. So I agree with Michael Knowles. If you want a traditional woman, go find her. But don't sit there and have us watch you complain about these women, but then chase after these very same women you're complaining about. You lost me.
Well, what % of women do you think are marriageable?
What do you mean by marriageable?
No tattoos, no debt, not overweight, doesn't openly hate men. It's not the majority, Michael.
What's the number?
Aside from the not openly hating men part, being overweight doesn't prevent women from being marriageable. You can go around, you can see a bunch of women who are overweight and they still get married. Having tattoos does not stop people from getting married. That's not a hard no. What is this? The fucking 30s, 1930s? Oh, that woman has a tattoo. No one cares anymore. You can have a tattoo and look sexy as fuck, and they will still marry you. That women out here that got tattoos, they got. What are you talking about? That's a factor that doesn't apply. So again, all of these things she just listed off, minus women who hate men. All right, I mean that's a given. But all these other things she listed off, they're not an indicator if you're a marriageable woman or not. That doesn't even make any sense.
These are confirmed by an actuary. It's less than 5%.
Which actuary?
Not
like what study is?
It's called "It's a World Without Men." It's
a study, or it's a blog, or a book, or what is a world?
It's a book. It's a book, and they go through the numbers that are confirmed by an actuary.
So I saw that book. I saw that.
And you, but you know this, Michael. Even in real life, you go on the whatever podcast.
Yeah.
You go. I mean, you see Fresh and Fit Miami. It's not like, and I've interviewed 1,000 women.
Yeah, but those women on Miami, whatever, and whoever you're bringing on your show, they're not indicative of all women. That's the problem. Your sample size is too damn small and specific.
1,000.
Yeah.
I've interviewed Christian women.
But
I've interviewed
the thing
Catholic
is,
women.
So I saw that.
I've been on the other side of divorce.
Yeah.
And I've seen men that did the right thing.
But I'm skeptical of your number here because look, I'm not like it's a crazy world. The women have crazy colored hair. They have tattoos. They do crazy stuff. But I saw that book. Mm-hmm. Maybe you had mentioned it or someone on the internet mentioned it. And I didn't know, was it a study? Is it a this or is it a that? And it's this book by a blogger who...
Again, a lot of these stats these people are putting out there, it's bro science. It's like even the single mothers are responsible for mass shooting quote that she put out there. That was also from an opinion paper. Okay, I forgot what news poll. It wasn't even a legitimate news agency. It was like some kind of backwater blog, but still, it was saying it was basically trying to blame single motherhood by using the Uvalde, Texas shooting and a couple other mass shooting as their sample size or justification. But it was an opinion piece, and I'm pretty sure that's what Pearl's quoting. But again, there's no actual studies done. There's actually no studies done to back up what they're saying, and this is what I'm talking about. A lot of the facts that they spew out to further dupe you pill popping weirdos out there to think that they know what they're saying and what they're saying is facts. It's not. If you really look into it, oftentimes a lot of things that a lot of weird places they're getting their ideas from is on the internet. These people don't go out. I'm telling you right now, they don't go out. Their ideas of women are what you see and they see on other people's shows. That's it. Okay, but it's because these people went out and actually lived. Okay, they actually were amongst people, speaking with real people, not hand selecting women who are going to be bougie for clout. No. If you actually went to go speak to real people, you'd understand that's not reflecting what you guys are putting out there. Okay, so y'all need to be careful about the stats they're saying, because she got that shit from a book that's written by a blogger. Think about that.
It's not really.
No, he's an economist.
No, he's.
So I read the book. I hate to be. I would encourage people to take a look at the book.
Go read.
I open up the book. The first sentence of that book, there is one mistaken quotation and 3 grammatical errors in the first sentence. And then I looked for the 5% number. The 5% figure appears nowhere in the book.
Nowhere.
So, again, I'm not saying that the world is teeming with women who are traditional and,
Would you agree it's the minority?
Now she's moving the goalpost.
Who are marriageable?
The minority. Even if we look at just overweight. 70% of women. Sometimes I think you guys are so out of touch.
I don't think.
What? What? The nerve on this woman. Someone who's unmarried, clearly out of touch when it comes to getting married or even finding herself a man, is calling a married man out of touch. The fuck? Like, yo. Chat, you see what I mean? I told you this stream will give you brain damage. Like, I'm not joking with y'all. Yo, Dose of Reality, shout out to you for the 5. Says Pearl aggravates my soul. Look, how do you think I feel right now? Mine is literally burning. Like, I'm telling you. Actually, mom or dad does not have custody until it's established. And how could abuse be calculated? She is dumb. Facts. Again, it's all bro science with these people. You can't trust what's coming out of their mouth. And what's sad is this kind of propaganda that they're spewing out there, particularly targeted against women. It's just it's just allowed to fester because you got a bunch of disenfranchised men who are buying into this. Think about it. Yo, being a victim is addicting. Okay, so when you got a bunch of men going around the internet feeling as though they're victim from actions of women, even though they initiated that shit, okay, it feeds on these guys' ideologies, and they grow and they grow. Eventually, it becomes a serious problem. All right, you'll start to see some serious misogynist shit happening within the next 3 to 5 years. We can clown these guys, but ultimately we got to take it seriously because Pearl made it. She's up there, right? How many blunders, how many racial fucking bullshit she's done, and yet she's still making it on mainstream. It's only gonna get bigger. Shout out to I Don't Play Games, says, what's up, the diet advice, bro? Did you shoot me an email? Shoot me an email. It's right below the screen. You got to shoot me an email so I can respond to it. But if you do, I got you, bro. Just let me know. Those reality again for the 2. Shout out to you. Says she's saying women of abortion children is abuse. I think she's comparing abortion, and she's comparing that to murder and the homicide rate for men. That's what she's doing. So she's saying, because she's categorizing abortion as murder, because that's what they're both doing. And then they're saying that's equivalent to the homicide rate for men. That's the argument Pearl was making, which clearly it's false. It's like, what are you talking about? That's not true. And abortion isn't classified as a homicide, because if it was, then women who committed abortions will be in jail. And that's not going to happen, because obviously that's a huge, a backstep on women's rights. Like if they collectively started jailing women for having abortions, that's crazy. Like that's again, you can't. You're basically taking away their rights essentially. So let them have the right to do that, okay? But that's essentially what she's saying. She's classifying abortion as murder, and then trying to compare it to the homicide rate and saying, well, women are definitely killing more. And it's like, what? That's not true at all. Yo, Dev, shout out to you. Dev says RP and conservatives officially aligned. I've been telling you, it's a match made in heaven. It says now we just start the clock before the infighting start. Still waiting on the Myron and Ben Shapiro debate. Yeah, yeah, we getting there. But yeah, obviously there's gonna be some infighting. I mean, clearly these two are both conservative, but look how extreme Pearl is being versus Michael Knowles. Yeah, obviously there's gonna be some infighting. It's only a matter of time.
Like 70%. You want a fat wife? Like, come on, no, guys. This is what.
Last people we've seen you date are all overweight. So I mean, if you like big women, you like big dudes.
You're telling men to sign up for?
Well, what I'm telling them, I guess what I'm telling them,
that's my point. It's not the majority. And when is the last time you dated? Like 10 years. You've been married for a while. So sometimes you talk, and I just think you're a bit out of touch with
you're saying I'm okay. Partner. No, that's fair. You're saying
because
I never swiped. I never did any of these things.
Correct. And I'm saying I've interviewed 1,000 women. I could give you examples in real life too. I mean, that's a ton of people, Michael.
That's sure a small sample size. And you selected these women. It's not like you put a mass survey out and say, hey, we're looking for women age group this, and that. No, you were selecting specific women that would make your show go viral, right? Specifically ones you can Frank Castle or kick out on a whim because, it gets that, tension that you want. But you're not getting a good sample size. So even your sample selection you're relying on is bogus. It's complete bullshit. Okay, so who cares if you interviewed 1,000 men? And the reason I'm saying this because Fresh and Fit does the same shit. Oh, we interview over 1,000 girls, all right? And they all do the same thing. They want a man who wants to make 6 figures. They want a man who's all this different things. It's like no. Your sample size sucks. You interviewed 1,000 girls. 80% of them are OnlyFans. 20% of them you found on Seeking Arrangement. That's not a good sample size. I'm sorry, bro. But they do this. They do this a lot. So y'all got to be careful with this. Molly C with the 5 says, I don't usually wish this on people, but I hope Pearl meets a man that would treat her exactly like the things she talks about. Exactly. But that's not going to happen because as much as she doesn't want to admit it, she's an independent woman. She's out here living that lifestyle. Listen, I think if she wanted to get married, no matter what, she would have done it. The thing is, she doesn't want to. This right here is all too addicting, especially getting married to that type of man, conservative man she's dreaming about. Because that means pack it up, honey. No more YouTube career. Go raise your kid. That's it. Because then if you're not at home sitting there cooking for your husband when he gets back, if you're not sitting there pleasing him, if you're not sitting there taking care of the kids, you are a hypocrite. because that's going against everything you've been saying. That's what we say about Candace Owens, right? She's out here talking about, oh, see, family is traditional. We don't do that anymore. That's why society's dying, okay? Because women want to be independent. It's like, bitch, what are you doing? You're married, yet where's your kid? Where's the warm meal for your husband? Yet you on podcast debating with OnlyFans girls. That's what you doing. Some mother you are, huh? You're already a hypocrite just based off your talking points.
Sure.
So,
sure. I have no doubt that the dating pool is difficult now. But the
problem is that the state is the legal enforcement arm.
Well, that's by definition.
Correct. So there's no way for a man to get married in 2024 without being entered into the state contract.
But that's always
so I understand, but I understand men's hesitation when the quality of women has gone down.
But what if,
I don't tell men not to get married or like what to do. I think every man has to decide for themselves. But I don't think you're going to win a lot of support, or I think you have to understand the problem in order to come up with a solution.
So,
Pearl, you don't have a clear understanding of the problem, and it shows. Yo, shout out to Graypill. Let's get a dub in the chat for Graypill for being a member 8 months running. Let's get it.
You are telling men, at the very least, you're observing that it is not advisable today in 2024 to get married.
I would say that every man has to pick for himself. But I think objectively, if me and you sign a contract and one of us is paid to leave, you would never sign that business deal. You would never sign it.
I did, right? If you're saying that's the state of marriage now, I did get married, therefore I did sign it.
Okay, but what Pearl is neglecting to mention is you have something called a prenup and you have another thing called a post-up agreement or post-nuptial agreement, right? So these are both things that you can institute before you get married or after you get married to go ahead and make sure your assets are guarded. For instance, you also have other different financial means of doing that. You have trusts you can go ahead and move your accounts into, and you can assign someone who can be the trustee of that, right? There are multiple different ways you can do it. It's just that men aren't educated on this, or people aren't educated in general, okay? That's what it all comes down to, education about this. This is not a grand conspiracy. The laws have been the laws since traditional times. The same traditionalism you're trying to take us back to. So again, I don't know why y'all complain about a law that y'all instituted. It's like, I don't get this. Now y'all fighting for equality. That makes y'all feminists. That's what y'all are doing right now, because y'all want equality with women, right? Not legitimately feminists, but you know what I mean, right? Well, guys who are the opposite of feminists. That's what y'all are doing. You're fighting for equality now from laws you started. That's what it is, right? So again, Pearl, men have options when you're talking about contract. You can have stipulations with that.
Okay, well, congratulations, but I think a lot of men are going to be hesitant to do that.
And you're saying it's rational for them to be hesitant.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's advisable,
not advisable,
but rational.
Every man, like, okay, I'll give you an example. I'm not here. I think men have had enough of women telling them what to do. I'm not telling men to do anything. But I think your situation
the fuck you got a platform for then?
is going to be completely different than the average Joe making $45,000 a year. If your marriage goes south, you have the money to afford lawyers.
I have the money, but I'm going to lose half money.
What?
But
do you think you're in the same position as the average man making $45,000 a year? The answer is no.
No, but I don't.
The answer is no.
I don't think it's because of my money, though. You know what I think it's because, well, look, when I got married, I didn't have a lot of money, but now I have more money. But I think there's a bigger distinction here, which is I am of a religious view and practice that does not recognize the reality of divorce. Not only do we discourage it, I'm a mackerel snapping papist, a member of the Catholic faith.
I'm Catholic too.
You're Catholic also.
I'm also Catholic.
So, marvelous news.
Yeah.
We do not.
And Catholics are not immune to divorce. I have seen it. I've seen people getting married for the second time. They still get communion, and the number of annulments.
Yo, Pearl, let him talk. Like, I don't even know what his point was now. Like, you're not acting like a modern woman. How you sitting there interrupting a man? Your woman explaining to him. Like, relax. Let him talk. Like, gee, yo, am I the only one noticing this? Or is Pearl just interrupting like crazy? Like, yo, I didn't even know where he was getting at with that point. Yo, Great Pill Podcast, shout out to you for the 2. Great Pill says 1 year ago, Pearl still promoting her documentary coming soon. Yeah, facts. Hey, yo, Pearl, when is this documentary happening? Because you've been promoting it in the UK and you promoting it now. What's happening? When are we seeing this? Nefarious Bread with the 5, shout out to you, says Pearl is just salty. She's jealous that other women get more play than her, so she's out here hating on her Uncle Ruckus Tommy. Yeah, she's the Uncle Ruckus for women, bro. Like, that's just what it is. If Fresh and Fit hate, no, that would be a bad example, because Fresh and Fit, they hate women, so that's the opposite sex. Pearl doesn't hate men; she just hates women. So I don't even know what to call this. This is just a whole different side. I think it's because of her mom, chat. I think she got mommy issues, bro. It's the same. I mean, it's the same thing with a lot of these pill popping weirdos. They all got mommy issues, right? That's why they hate women so much, right? But some of them, like Myron, I think it's because they have other proclivities. Okay, but I think Pearl. I think she doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong, but it comes off she maybe doesn't get along with her mom as well as she makes it out to be. Right, because ain't no way you have this much vitriol for women, and then you have a mama who's worth millions of dollars because she also started a software company with your dad. She was an equal partner with your dad. Your mom's not traditional. So do you hate your mom for not being traditional while you're out here speaking to women to be traditional? Or I don't get where it's coming from, but her background and even what she's doing right now does not reflect the message she's putting out there. Just saying.
Well, that's not licit.
The number, but
that's a great.
But that's But I know. But it doesn't matter because it happens all the time.
But you can,
and so it totally.
I see someone who calls himself.
We have a record number of annulments this year in the Catholic Church. You cannot. The Catholic Church is getting more. You see the Pope, and I think we could agree on this stuff.
The Pope for all of the liberal statements that have appeared in the press under his name. The Pope is generally pretty good on matters of sex and marriage. He's pretty clear. When you say, Catholics get divorced, it has happened. There's a distinction between an annulment.
It's around, I looked it up before this, it's around 25, 35.
So that's how, it's
around, it's around 35%. And so that's not a small percentage.
What's the national average? Like 45% roughly? So,
well, 2024, it was 50.
Okay,
so I know everyone splits hairs over like the 5-10%, but regardless, it's not small.
So what that means then is that if you're a man, and I totally grant that dating pool's tough and the economy's tough and the divorce courts are terrible and divorce laws are terrible,
but they should sign up anyway.
Well, before we even get to that, before we get to that, one way to mitigate one's risk in marriage of divorce would be to be just any old Catholic, right? Because you then reduce the likelihood of divorce by 16% immediately.
I don't know if that's true. Because just being a Catholic, I mean, are we not taking into account the main reasons people get divorced in the first place? It's usually finances, it's usually infidelity, it's usually abuse. Listen, being a Catholic doesn't solve all that. I mean, if anything, it just tries to get you to stay in a situation that probably isn't worth staying in. So I don't think religion is the end all be all to this. I think people just need to pick better. That's just basically what it is, right? Society, we got a bunch of influences right now, including stuff like TikTok and all these different distractions, and Tinder and all these dating apps aren't doing the best either. But still, just joining a church. I'm not saying that religion doesn't have anything or any merit or anything like that. No one is saying that, okay? They're clearly, I mean, the religion does hold a staple in society, and if it's not, listen, people will just replace it with something else, right? They'll replace it with some kind of ideology. I think people need a belief system no matter what. But just saying, yeah, be a Catholic, bro, or be a Christian, that's not solving the problems. Like, I mean, again, these people, bro, like, I don't get it. I don't get it, bro.
16 percentage points, much more than 16% from the 50% number. So then, what if you're a Muslim?
Okay.
Divorce rates among Muslims, even a little lower, 30%. Okay. Divorce rates among Orthodox Jews, 30, as low. There's a lot of different kind of Jews, but it goes down to as low as 10. And then you get down to a little more the old school Catholics, which is kind of how I practice. There aren't great numbers on it.
Do you go to Latin Mass?
Traditional Latin Mass.
Okay.
The like.
Yeah. That's a lot of patience.
It's a,
Yeah,
but
that's
frankly,
a
I
tough one.
find it.
No, it's good. It's good. Latin mass is a little better.
It seems
It
like
is-
it goes
it is,
faster
yeah.
than the shorter.
No,
but-
it's a little bit better in the Latin mass. I'd agree.
But when it comes to divorce,
Mhm.
the numbers are a little sparse here.
Mhm.
It's like 5 to maybe 10%.
But
It's
the
very low.
problem is with most of those stats, most of those studies were done before social media. Anyone that dated before and after social media knows it completely changed the game.
How do you mean?
What?
Well,
Come on, Pearl.
women now have access to men anywhere. And cheating.
Now you're bringing it back to the red pill talking point. That's okay. Listen, men and women. Okay, listen. Women have more access to social media now. No, can you finish off his point real quick? Because now here's what she's gonna go to. It's the same old talking point that Myron uses. This is the typical red pill talking point. Yeah, the more access to social media the woman has, the more likely she's gonna be able to wild out and cheat on you and do all these different things. And again, first of all, that's not even addressing the follow-up point that Malcolm Knowles had, but you're just moving the goalpost and then scapegoating to a talking point. Oh my goodness, dude. All right, so what about men who are being thirsty out there? What do we call that? Like again, men and women, we have the same level of access. Now, is it the opportunities are different, right? So the opportunities for men to get with a woman online, it's a little bit more difficult than it is for a woman online, right? Because again, men and women aren't equal, so men are overwhelmingly going to chase women more. That's just how it is, right? I mean, you guys say this all the time. Men and women aren't equal. We understand this. So shouldn't it be the job for more men to chase women? I mean, it kind of makes sense that most people who are doing the messaging are men, because actually that part itself is really no different than how dating used to be, right? When more men would have to approach women. You have to go up there and approach women, and especially if a woman's beautiful, I guarantee you she's had way more approaches out there. It's similar things. Now, the only big difference is online is based off of looks versus in person. You can add the personality and the confidence factor and all that stuff, right? You have a difference when you're doing it in person. That's it. So if you want to make an argument saying, hey, online dating is difficult because now people are becoming more shallow because everything's based on looks, fine, I agree with you. But just saying, oh well, just the level of access. I mean, people are just gonna, women are just horrible because they have Tinder, they have all these different men coming at them. Women always get dick thrown at them. I mean, I'm sorry, ladies. Ain't that true? I mean, I'm just saying, even when you don't even want it, like guys are just out there. Men are thirsty. It's just how it is. And we're supposed to be that to a certain extent. Some of y'all nowadays, I think the internet just made y'all worse.
Goes dating, the number one way people are meeting under 30 is dating apps.
Yep.
I mean, this is a completely different dating marketplace than when you were dating.
Though I guess,
and that's my point.
When I was dating,
there's no Catholic woman in divorce court. Women will throw out their religion very, very fast when they want to leave. You cannot pray a woman that wants to leave you into not leaving you.
I think you don't the statistics I just cited show that you can, because the
no,
divorce
but the
rates are so
problem
much
with
lower.
those is they include women over a certain age. The women under the age of 35
You're saying
have been on. So yes, it's
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think you can't really deny it with what you've
This is
seen.
coming from a woman who's under the age of 35 and also on social media. Something don't make sense here.
You go on whatever podcast. Are those the same women of our grandmothers and great-grandmothers? No.
Women on whatever podcast aren't indicative of all women out there. Those are hand-selected women by the producers of whatever podcast to display a certain narrative to develop a show. That's it. That's all they're doing. And that narrative is OnlyFans girls living the wrong lifestyle. This guy has to talk sense to her, and sometimes they clash for clout. That's it. The women are still getting something out of it, right? Y'all are forgetting these podcasts are just a one-way ticket for men to sign up for OnlyFans accounts. I mean, I'm sorry. Do you think whatever podcasts are paying these OnlyFans girls directly? Do you think Fresh and Fit are paying these OnlyFans directly and saying, hey, let me pay you cash, come on the show, hang out, whatever? No, it's not a front-end deal. It's always a back-end deal, meaning their subscribers are going to sign up for their OnlyFans account, making it worth it for the girls to go on the show in the first place. They are creating the demand for the men to be fucking deviants online. You guys are the problem. Like, stop promoting these women's OnlyFans accounts, okay? And then maybe men can get back to normal. Maybe we can solve a bunch of sex addiction issues that men have, or porn addiction issues that men have, right? I don't get it. Y'all can focus on the wrong things.
Oh, it's completely different.
There's not a ton of
Michael.
Orthodox Jews and traditional Catholics on that podcast, but and perhaps
and
there's a reason for that.
And you got to ask like the reputation. What's the reputation of Catholic girls?
Well, what do you mean? I mean, again,
that's my point. My point is they have if there was an abundance of wives in church, Michael, the men would be lining up to go.
But they do. The traditional churches.
Men are leaving the church under the age of 35.
Because they want them thick booty liberal women. They not sitting there going to a church. These niggas on Instagram trying to holler in their DMs. That's where the men at. So we got to talk to them. Hey, maybe the big booty Latina ain't what you want. Maybe that's going to be poisonous for you, my dog. Go ahead and get this good old church girl. But even when they get the church girl, they'll try to turn her bad. All right, because some dudes just can't help themselves. But at the end of the day, they looking on Instagram. They're not looking for these church girls. They may go online and claim they want good girls, but they want hoes. We've been telling y'all this for a long time.
Young men, church participation is going down altogether, but young men are leaving the church.
But what about the traditional parishes?
The traditional parishes,
they're exploding, and it's all young people. I mean, the median age is like 22 in these parishes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's largely young men. So I totally grant you that a lot of modern religion has become quite effeminate and has driven men away.
Right, but I'm saying the Catholic Church is not exempt. It's absolutely not exempt. I've seen a lot of the same trends in the Catholic Church.
I guess my confusion is, though, you bring up these statistics, and so then
that's why she got to drink water. She's just lying. Her mouth just dry from all that lying, bro. I'm surprised just to see Pearl talk without saliva gaggling in her mouth. She definitely lying her ass out today.
You acknowledge the statistics that show that if one gets married, assuming that divorce is not a sacramental reality, that the likelihood of divorce goes way down. But then when we say that, you instantly say, well, actually now the statistics aren't worth anything because young people are different.
Wait, say that again. Sorry.
So
wait,
we agree that the numbers for Catholics, Jews, Muslims, Orthodox Jews and Muslims, divorce numbers are way lower. And you acknowledge those statistics, but then you say,
no, I don't. No, I don't.
You don't? Okay. All right.
No, because most of those include women over a certain age.
Right. You're saying the young people, it's totally different.
Time, Michael.
So what is?
And that's the same thing. Like the time my parents
let him get to his point. Stop interrupting him.
Got married and is completely different.
So what changed other than now they have so they meet on apps rather than at bars, and that's the big change. That's why we can't believe the statistics anymore.
Well, the average marriage is 7 years now, Michael.
Right, but we've had divorce, expanded divorce for a long time. We've had no-fault divorce in America since 1969.
Yeah.
So,
so that 7 years, that, bro, there are other reasons people are getting divorced now. It's not just, oh my goodness, bro. Again, these arguments are so just weird. I don't know why they're making them.
I acknowledge these are, by historical standards, relatively novel, but we're still talking like 50 years, right? It's more than 50 years.
I don't, I just think a lot of times I hear you guys' advice to go to church and find a good woman. And I don't necessarily think it's bad advice in general. But again, I think that times have changed. And I think a lot of times you guys are a bit out of touch with what the average man is going through in this country.
Well, what do you mean by the average man?
That's
I guess men come in all shapes and sizes. So, acknowledging the fears of the modern.
Do you think men have valid fears in getting married? Do you think any of it's valid, or do you think they're making it up?
Yeah, I think that marriage entails risk.
Okay.
But there are ways to mitigate risk.
There are
it's
ways.
A natural institution.
Correct. There are ways to mitigate risk.
Yeah.
But because I don't know, when you talk about this stuff, you guys are just sorry, I don't mean to say you guys, but
please, generalize. Sorry. It's okay.
But sometimes I'm just like, how do you not see where the men are coming from?
You're interrupting him. He's a man. You're not even letting him explain what's going on, and you're gonna tell another man where men are coming from. What? Yo, I'm living in backwards world right now. Everything is backwards. So we got a woman here trying to tell us what our experience is as a man. What? You don't know what it's like to be a man. Even if you could speak what you're speaking, you still don't know. You don't know what it's like to be a man. And you're sitting here talking to her. Look how she just condescendingly talking to Michael Knowles, another man, about the experiences of being a man and him being out of touch. A woman is telling him this. Can you believe this nonsense? This is crazy. And she's traditional, all right. You wonder why she can't find herself a man. Because she thinks she's a man herself. You got to call her Paul from now on, not Pearl. What is this? Pookie and the Brain. Shout out to you for the vibe. Pookie says, Pearl hates beta men and women, but allows homeless bear friends. Homeless. Oh, he said bear friends, blessings, room, and board while being provider for him. It wasn't just that. Wasn't it angry reactions too as well? So clearly she has a type of man she likes to date. Poor and overweight, right? That's what it is, right? So again, her just sitting there talking about men who are dating overweight and just these horrible Western women. Like, I mean, it's just so overweight. It's like, but look at your caliber of man. I mean, you can't talk either, girl. I mean, what are you saying? M. Dot with the 10. Can we get a W in the chat for M. Dot? Shout out to M. Dot. M. Dot says Pearl is waging war against women, but the Andrew Wilson you debated claims women have no enforcement power. So it seems like a waste of time on her part. Yeah, dude, debating Andrew Wilson was so exhausting because it's like, bro, okay, what is it? Oh, well, men have this. So his thing was on rights, right? And it was just like, okay, his whole shtick was the fact that men have the ability to enforce the rights. That means that women, and it was just like, yo, bro, first of all, that's not true because there are women all over the place. And then when you actually narrow them down, okay, when the red, white, and blue is behind you, okay, and those rights that you say are not real, that they're just a concept because only men could enforce it, all right? When the woman pulls up and writes you a ticket enforcing those laws and whatnot on the books, right? So what does that make that? Is that just do I not have to pay the parking ticket? Because again, it's just laws, and laws because they're enforced by men. I mean, they technically don't exist. But I mean, he's an idiot. All right. Again, all these pill popping weirdos. Again, their ideologies is just more in line with, men on top, women, you got to be subservient, and that's it. And they'll use religion if they have to. They will use religion if they had to, and that's what Andrew Wilson does, right? And I'm not surprised this guy's doing the same thing. I mean, it's just you're right. They're just all wasting time.
Talk to men that did the exact same thing. That they took you guys' advice to a T.
What's our advice? Our advice is just
to marry. I've seen a lot of stuff from the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
Okay, might be you, might be other guys that say get married young, right?
Yeah, it's good.
To sign up. Okay, but I'll see guys that take you guys' advice, and sometimes it ruins their life
because they get divorced.
And the divorce isn't like the woman ruins their reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Calls him an abuser. And even calls him an abuser, says all these awful things. He hasn't seen his kids in 2 years.
It's awful. Yeah.
And it's the saddest thing when you see a man that's going through a divorce.
So what's the alternative, though? Because I totally agree with you.
It's crazy because they're talking divorce, and Pearl, because his solution is, okay, Catholicism, because the divorce rates are lower, at least we can still bring men to marriage, right? Because that's his whole goal. He's a conservative, and it kind of makes sense, right? Because conservatives, they value the marriage household. So obviously they want to bring people back to getting married. Pearl, on the other hand, she fakes like she's a conservative, right? And she talks about bringing men and women back together. But then when it comes down to actually doing that, then she complains about all these issues that are preventing men from doing that. So it's just hopeless, right? So on one hand, she's saying it's hopeless for men to do it because women in the West are just so bad. But on the other hand, you're doing things to give advice to men. So then what's the point? Are you wasting your time? Is it hopeless or is there hope for men? And then when you're talking to Michael Knowles, that's exactly what he's trying to get at here. Okay, what is your solution? Because his solution is, let's bring more religion. Let's bring more Catholicism. Let's get people in the church, right? That should help with marriages. You're saying no. Okay, then what's your solution then? I'm eager to hear it.
Yeah.
But the risk and the pitfalls of modern marriage.
Well, I think that the laws need to change first, because regardless of what I say,
before people get married.
Well, it's not about what I say. It's about what people will do. You guys have been preaching marriage for a decade. Men aren't signing up.
No,
men aren't. The rate of but the rate of getting married is going lower.
Right, but we also
men are getting married.
We redefined marriage at the federal levels.
Correct.
We've also had divorce for 50 years.
Yeah, correct. No, you're right. You're correct. But I'm saying laws need to change. Personally, if it was Pearl's world,
Yes.
and I think you're probably going to have to find somewhere that meets in the middle for something to pass. But if it was Pearl's world, I wouldn't have alimony. I wouldn't have child support. I don't think you're entitled to it.
Yeah,
that even if you got rid of those laws in general, that's still not gonna prevent men from getting married or men from getting divorced. That's still not gonna stop it. Matter of fact, what you just created is a scenario where now, if men and women are married, now it's actually more dangerous for women, right? That's just what it is. Because you're even saying, so it's got to be. You're saying they got to be they got to change the laws, get rid of alimony, get rid of all this stuff in order for men to get married. That's not, listen, you're not even taking account for how the generations are thinking nowadays. It's not that simple, okay? Men and women can't just get together and get married because the generation today is different, all right? How are you going to get married and live in an apartment? You can't even buy a house. It's hard to buy a house now. Most people are getting priced out of the housing market, and now that's increasingly becoming a new trend. Most people are getting priced out of in the renting market now. It's a thing. So you want young people to get married to that. There are all sorts of conditions that are preventing people from doing things. It's not just the divorce laws or anything else like that. It's not that at all. It's the conditions right now economically set up are can a man and a woman raise a family now? A young man and a woman, they can't. All right. Chances are, what, you're going to get married and go live with your roommates? That don't make any sense. But that's what people are left with. So they put off marriage. They put off child rearing until they feel as though they get in a better position. But unfortunately, for most people, the better position doesn't come. All right. You're going to work till you're 65. Matter of fact, they're extending the retirement age. You're going to work practically till you're dead. Welcome to America. Congratulations. That's how shit works. How are you going to bring a family into that? So you all were trying to bring us back to baby boomer ideology. Fuck off, bro. It doesn't work. You guys squandered all the wealth you guys had and fucked it up for the rest of us. Now you expect us to get back and live like how y'all lived? What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. And now you're going to blame all this on women? How does that? Why are you blaming women for this? This is bigger than women. Y'all need to wake the fuck up. I'm sorry, Chad. My brain is rotting. I can feel it rotting. Yo, Orange Cat Energy, shout out to you for becoming a member. Let's get a dub in the chat for Orange Cat Energy. Yo, that's quite the name, by the way. Shout out to Orange Cat. Deb with the 5. Deb says the women on FNF and whatever are all women confirmed by bro signs because reasons. Facts. And you notice those are the only type of women they use as examples. Right? What other women are they going to use as examples? They don't know any other women. It's secret arrangements or OnlyFans. That's it. And so how are you going to use that as a legitimate sample size? But men take that shit seriously, and this is why they fail so hard in reality. It's just like, y'all are just getting lied to. It's sad. Yo, Jasmine Jones with the 10. Can we get a dub in the chat for Jasmine Jones with the 10? Jasmine Jones says, you can tell when Pearl is out of her depth when she's pressed on a point she can't substantiate. She changes the topic or asks a different question. Facts. You're seeing that, right? When she goes back to, well, you guys are, you old people and the Catholics. No, honey. And you notice how, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems as though she's interrupting Mike a lot. I'm calling him Mike, but Michael knows, right? It's like he's not even getting a word in. Like, he has a patient of a saint right now. The patience of a saint. Because, like, I don't know how I can do it. I'm like, yo, stop interrupting me. Do you want me to get to my point or what? You over here talking about, I know what men is going through, and I, as a man, trying to explain to you, you're not even listening to me, right? I mean, we're witnessing her not listen to a man while pretending she knows what men go through. Yo, shout out to you. Says, changes the topic. Red Pill is not sending their best. No, this is why Rolo was pissed off. He was pissed off because Pearl got this interview and not him. Yo, Tony, shout out to you for the 5. Tony says, sup, fam? In my opinion, Red Pill is the introduction of waking up the realities of women. Game is the work of the old harsh realities. You agree? Yeah, maybe back in the day. But the Red Pill is now, when it got co-opted by the Fresh and Fit and the Andrew Tates of the world, it was gone. And whatever, now it's just, you got to get a Bugatti, you got to make 6 figures, and you gotta have all these wealth attractors to attract a woman, right? Because you got to be high value. But they don't realize all you're doing is attracting gold diggers. Because if you got cheese, all you gonna get are rats, bro. Like, what do you expect? Like, you're gonna get mad because you a hunk of shit and a bunch of flies are buzzing. Why you getting mad about that? You chose to be who you are, a piece of shit. Don't get mad because the flies are buzzing. You wanted that, right? Now you got that stink on you, and you mad because these girls are using you up. No, you wanted this. You know, and that's why I can't, like, these guys, they create their own problems. That's what the red pill is all about now. It's all material, nothing else.
I would certainly eliminate no-fault divorce, and I would greatly restrict divorce broadly.
Yeah, but I think until you do that, you're going to have a hard time getting men to sign up, you know, until women get in shape.
Sure.
You know, if 70% of women are overweight, that's not a great sell to men.
But okay, so
yeah, 80% of women gain 20 pounds in the first 5 years of marriage.
She's acting like women had not as much options, you know, or like the similar options as they did back in the 30s, right? Because women didn't, right? Hey, listen, a lot of times women back then didn't care about the looks. Women back then didn't care about, you know, all these material things that women of today care about, right? Because back then, did you have a job? If you had a job and you're working, yeah, if you were a, you know, what do you call it, a Justin Bieber looking type dude, women back then wouldn't give a shit. They wouldn't even put emphasis on what a guy looked like. Was he a hard worker? Could he do that, right? Because times were different. Okay, women relied on men to go out and work to go ahead and bring home the bacon. But now more and more women are in the workforce, more and more women are getting educated, more and more women are actually competing at a high level, especially with men. Now women have their independence. Now they have enough time to start, you know, maybe instead of making marriage choices based off of, or dating choices based off of finances, now they freed themselves to the option to say, okay, now I can allow myself to say, maybe money is good, all right, but what does he look like? Okay, now I can judge based off of this because I want to go look for other things now. It's just a natural evolution. You have the independence, you have your freedom, you have more options available to you, versus if you relied on the men back in the day, then you didn't. So a lot of men complaining right now is just men who feel as though they're not needed. I mean, I get it, but the blame is placed on the wrong person or the wrong group of people.
Sure. Yeah, that's no good. They should stay fit.
You should stay fit.
Well, no, they should gain a lot of weight to have children. They should gain so much weight because they're having children.
But this is my point. You know, you're not going to appeal to men by shaming them into marriage.
I'm not shaming anyone. I'm just recommending.
But
women don't need to appeal. I mean, women don't need to appeal to men anymore. They don't. They have their independence now. They don't care. All right, they're not sitting there trying to please a guy and say, oh my God, I had to stay in shape because I hope he'll marry me. No, a lot of women don't care. Matter of fact, some women, they don't even want to they're not even trying to get tied down in relationships. I'm telling you, speaking from my experience, I'm telling you right now, I've been with a lot of women. Some of them just don't want to get tied down. Some of them just want to do their thing. All right, you can sit there and shame them and say, oh, you're not being traditional. It don't matter. They're their own being. They can do what they want, but some of them just don't want to get tied down. All right, it is what the fuck it is. Some of them want to wait longer. But I'm going to tell you this. Women aren't here to please men no more. All right, not back in the day. They're not sitting there, oh, I got to get fit so I get chosen by the right man who makes the right amount of money. No, they don't care. You could be a fucking, you know, whatever. You be a brokey and they'll still fuck you. Trust me. I know. You ain't got to have shit. They'll still fuck you. All right, because they're not selective for that anymore. Money is not a big priority because you have your independence. And Pearl's not understanding that.
But I've heard you guys say things like you're not like a real man if you don't get married. I've heard this from the trad camp.
That's not exactly true because some men are called to religious life. Some men are called to celibacy.
Right.
But the ones who are not are called to marriage. Not merely because it's sort of fun, though it's fun, but because it's a natural institution. Because men have certain ends. We have certain goals, right? So one of them would be we want to have children. This is not just a preference, you know, de gustibus non disputandum est. This is an aspect of the natural law.
Don't you think they should follow their purpose in God first?
That is part of their purpose.
Okay. No, I don't think so.
That's what do you mean?
I don't think men's purpose is women. I think men's purpose
having children. Certainly.
I think men's purpose has been made about women. And it's wrong. And I think you red pillars are contributing to that. And now all y'all do is talk about women. That's all you guys do.
Why? Why is that their purpose? Even the Apostle Paul said it's better to be alone, or not the Apostle Paul, but it's even in
Paul was celibate.
She about to quote scripture, guys. I mean, we about to hear Pearl quote scripture, really?
Yeah.
But
well, to mention
sorry,
no, the Apostle Paul is celibate. You know, but since you mentioned Christianity, it's important to remember our Lord is the bridegroom. The church is the bride. So from the Christian perspective, marriage is understood to be a symbol of Christ's love for his church. Now, that's the supernatural
But that's not how it's practiced today.
And
that's
some quarters it is.
But you can say my special religion. Here's the exception. It's not across the board.
No, my true religion
Okay,
that
okay.
built our entire civilization. That's what I'm talking.
She's supposed to be a Catholic. I mean, the grifting is just out of this world.
Yeah, I'm a Catholic
eccentric
too. I'm a Catholic.
I'm a Catholic too. Wait, let's just go back a couple frames and see how she described it.
For his church. Now, that's the supernatural.
But that's not how it's practiced today.
And
that's
some quarters it is.
But you can say my special religion. Here's the exception. It's not across the board.
No, my true religion that built our entire civilization. That's what I'm talking. It's not
I'm a
some eccentric.
Too.
Okay, if you're a Catholic, I mean, oh my God, you don't sound like a convincing Catholic. I don't think he thinks you're a Catholic. I think he thinks you're lying, Pearl.
Catholic too, but
I'm just describing to you the Catholic view of marriage, which is different than the view you're.
But it's not the way that Catholics are doing it. If we have 25% getting divorced, that's not a small number.
Well, that's not the way that 25% are doing it.
It's 30. It's really 35. Yeah. But I try to be conservative because I don't want to go back and forth.
But to that point,
out of that number, that 35%, how many of those people are Catholic? How many of those people are atheists? How many people are Muslim? How many of those people are belong to any type of faith whatsoever living in the West? That's a disconnect, Pearl. He's talking about Catholics. You're just using the entire divorce number. Okay, fine. But if you're going to use those numbers, you got to now specify, okay, how many of those people in that number are Catholics and what is the divorce rate? And if you did that, you would find out exactly what he just said earlier. It's a lot lower than the majority of the main statistics out there, right? Again, you're not breaking this down. It doesn't matter. That big number, 35-50% you're quoting, that's people of all faiths. So even liberals too, okay? Because they get married and get divorced. So what are you doing here?
Well, Joe Biden calls himself a practicing Catholic. He supports killing infants in the womb up until the moment of birth as a matter of law. So,
But we get into a tricky territory when you get to play God and decide who's a Catholic and who's not.
I'm not playing God, and I don't decide the magisterium. But the deposit of faith does, the magisterium does, sacred scripture does, the vicar of Christ does, and on this point, all are clear. And by the way, I'm not even talking about marriage necessarily from a supernatural perspective, though I certainly view it that way. But there's also the natural perspective, which is that there is. You say men should follow their purpose and should follow God. I of course agree. So how do we know our purpose? Men have what? We have the scriptures, we have revelation, but we also have our conscience and reason. And so there's something called the natural law. And the natural law inclines us toward marriage. Men and women are, by our very nature, inclined toward marriage. You would disagree?
No.
You wouldn't.
Well,
so there you go.
No. Well, sort of. I think men.
What? Come on. Sorry.
I think that in the current market, there are just not enough wives to go around. There are not enough wives to go. Women that deserve to be wives. In my opinion. Okay. Sure. You'd agree on that, right?
Well, I don't. Why would he agree with your stupid ass opinion? That's just a dumb opinion because it's not true. You can't just say in my opinion, and it's just me. I think the majority of women are not marriageable. And it's based off of what? Not having tattoos, overweight. That's not true either. Overweight women get married. Women with tattoos are getting married. Okay. Single mothers are getting married. Okay. Like you're not, your stats, you don't have any stats. This is bro science. What are you talking about?
So I don't know exactly what you mean by that. Maybe I would agree, but I don't know exactly what you mean by it.
Okay. Do you think men should have standards?
Yes.
Do you think it's okay for them to want a woman that's in shape? Do you think that's an okay standard?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, a girl that's religious. Would you say that's good? Okay, but that's not the majority.
Because that's not what the men are going after. The men, look at the women they're going after. They're not going after these religious women. I'm gonna tell you this: some of these religious women or these actual good girls, they're very, very difficult, right? Because they stand on their principle, especially when you meet a real one, all right? And those are the ones you might want to make wifey, right? Especially if you run into one of those. But when guys who are like this, especially these pill poppers, they're running the girls like that. They don't have the patience. Why? Because they want sex. All this shit is for sex. That's why they go for women who are not, religious. They look at the women they're going after. It tells you everything you need to know. How do you tell me you're looking for a wife, Myron's girlfriend, or the girls he's talking to are seeking arrangements? That don't make any sense to me. They want these types of women because it's a smoother transition to the bedroom. Anything else is just lies. So you saying there are not a lot of marriageable women out there? Men aren't going for those women. They're going for the ones that are making them happy with their little head. That's it. I don't get it, bro.
That's not the majority. So what are men supposed to do in the meantime?
They're supposed to convince the women to get in shape and get religious.
Good luck. I've done it for a year. Good luck.
You haven't had, but maybe the men would be more persuasive than you would to these women.
Good luck.
I don't know.
Did the OnlyFans models quit that you interviewed?
I don't know if that, I've only interviewed a few on whatever.
No, the shows. That's the point.
There's actually, I
mean, miracles happen, but I wouldn't bet on it.
There are a couple gals. There are a couple gals who've written into my show, not from the Whatever podcast, but who were watching my show and really watching in the member block and everything, who were both like online pornographers to some degree. And one said she was going to quit. I kind of lost track of her in the show. Another one quit, had a major conversion, and what a wonderful evidence of the glory of God.
Was it the one on Twitter?
Yes.
Yeah, her OF link was still up. So a lot of times
she denied it. Someone said that was true.
Her OF link was still up. Yes, it was. I checked it. Yes, it was.
But why do y'all talk to these women? Right? Again, you're putting these images out there. Here's what I'm saying. And you listen, if someone can track the numbers, I might have to put some programs together to track it. But if someone can track these numbers, it would be devastating to see the amount of men who subscribe to these OnlyFans accounts of these women after they show up to a show. I think if men can look at the numbers of the share subscriptions these women get after they appear on these shows, right? After they get these viral moments, I think these people will quickly realize they are contributing to the problem more than they realize. So it doesn't matter if these women are telling you this or that or whatever it is. What matters is the men or the people who are in the audience you're trying to convince, they are paying these women on the back end. They are subscribing to their OnlyFans account. So all of you guys are the problem to me, right? Michael knows you too. For going on that show, you too are a problem, all right? I don't care. You did it for clout, sure, whatever. Yeah, maybe you saved 2 people, whatever. Still, the people that are watching those shows with them girls in there, they definitely subscribe to their OnlyFans accounts. Most definitely. Same thing with Sus Marquardt. When he was debating those 2 OnlyFans girls and got brutally murked, guess what his fans were doing? Subscribing to their OnlyFans accounts. Y'all are the problem. That's why we sit and criticize you guys all the time, because you guys most likely have introduced more men to porn addiction single-handedly than any other motivator out there on the internet. It's a bold statement, but I'm starting to think that it's probably true.
I'm positive.
She posted it and showed that it wasn't still up.
It was
I don't know.
Up,
I don't know. She seemed pretty sincere to me. But in any case, are you denying the principle that people can change?
Yeah, I mean, God can forgive you, but men don't have to.
I don't think it's. I'm talking about repentance.
Repentance is good, but I wouldn't say that makes her wife worthy if you still used to have an OF account.
What?
You would agree that men in general should not date women that had OnlyFans accounts.
It's not ideal.
Okay,
I don't think it's
you can't definitively.
Men should not, but men do. At the end of the day, men do. So you can say men shouldn't. Again, you're telling men what to do, which is funny because didn't you just say earlier you're not here to tell men what to do? Here you are telling men, oh, men should not date OnlyFans women. Do you agree, Michael Knowles, who is also a man? Hey, Michael Knowles, who is also a man. Do you agree that men should not date OnlyFans women? Pearl, are you telling another man what to do? Because it sounds like that's what you're doing. But again, even regardless of that, men are still going to date OnlyFans women. You're not going to stop men. Okay, you're just not. Men are going to do what men are going to do. Is what makes them men at the end of the day. So again, men are contributing to this problem. So you say men shouldn't. That's not going to stop men from doing it. They're still going to do it. Again, men are the ones who keep the brothels open, especially the married ones. Dose of Reality, shout out to you for the 2. Dose of Reality says, deserve to be wives. Pearl acknowledging she's ugly. Think about this. She used the word, do you agree that most women out there don't deserve to be wives? Like, who the fuck are you to tell someone what they deserve or not? Bitch, you ain't God. Like, what the fuck is this? You're the God of marriage now? All of a sudden, you get married, look under your seats, you all get married, except for you, bitch. You're not getting married. No, that's not how that works. But the way she's saying it, it's like, What? Like, you acting like you got some kind of authority of who gets married or who shouldn't. But that's the thing. They're trying to create that image, right? They're trying to put that agenda out there. That's what this is all about. To propagandize a bunch of young men to believe that, yeah, these other women out there, they're definitely not winning, but in actuality, they are. you can't make this shit up. M. Dot with the 5. Shout out to M. Dot. M. Dot says, if there aren't enough marriageable wives, why did she shut down her wife's school? Facts. I mean, that shit should be booming right now, right? Unless they don't want to take lessons from you. But I mean, if there are not enough eligible wives out there, yeah, your wife's school should be booming. Which is funny. Someone who's unmarried, about to hit the 30s, is creating a school teaching other unmarried women to get married. It's like, what? It's like the blind leading the blind out here. That's what that shit is. Yo, Dev with the 10. Shout out to Dev. Let's get a dub in the chat for Dev. Dev says, let's be real here. If we were all the way religious, the men would ring the door and ask the dads to date their daughters. 99% of these RP losers will get the door slammed in their faces. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? A lot of these guys don't even have the balls to approach a woman, yet alone her dad, to even ask for the woman's hand in marriage. They don't know how to do that. They'll be too scared. All these guys are the internet pill poppers. That's just what they are. The Dose of Reality with the 2 again. Shout out to Dose of Reality. Dose of Reality says OF account is still active until you have 0 subscribers. I don't know how that works, but again, they still invite them. They still invite these OnlyFans women. So, again, yeah, I don't know how that works, but yeah, if they, okay, yeah, I guess the link is still up. Sure, but does that still make them unmarriageable? I don't know, because I got to look at the stats for that. Listen, from what I'm seeing online and from what I've seen on certain sites, right, like Tinder, because there's some girls who got OnlyFans accounts there. I'm pretty sure men are dating them. I'm pretty sure that men are dating them, bro. There's ain't no way these women are not getting dated. There's a man out there that's gonna date it. And honestly, if men are reaching out to these red pillars in insane rates, trying to find women to have sex with or to be with, right? It basically lets you know that men are the ones who are struggling to get sex. They want it so bad, but they're struggling to get it. It's not the women out here trying to like throw pussy around and, oh yeah, you can get this. No, women don't do that. It actually goes to the point of what we're saying. Women they're very selective when it comes to sex. Yeah, they'll have sex with maybe they'll have multiple partners, but these partners are probably people that they know very well, right? And maybe once in a while they'll be a random here and there, whatever, right? Versus men, men are more inclined to have sex with more randos than have a rotation. That's what it is. Men right now in the red pill, most of them can't hold a rotation with multiple women. They don't know how. That's why they dream of harems and they dream of some of them want to be a Muslim because they want to have 4 wives. They're like Sneeko. The only reason why he joins their religion is to have 4 wives. Again, it's the fantasy of that, but these guys, they don't in reality know how to hold relationships with multiple women. They don't know how to do it. It's a wet dream for them, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like these guys, man, I don't want to go too far into it, but I'm already getting a headache. But you know what I mean, Chad? These guys, they're desperate for women. All right, so they're online for this specific reason. It doesn't make sense why the women are to blame if the men are the ones that are wanting the attention. I don't get it.
Definitively say that a woman. Okay.
I don't think it's disqualified. I mean,
well, I think you're going to have a tough time selling guys on that.
I'm not convinced of it. I mean, to quote St. John Vianney, the saints didn't all start well, but they all ended well. So I wouldn't recommend that people get involved in porn in any way.
Okay.
But there's also, on the men's side of things, men are in a little rough shape because of our modern culture too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot are addicted to porn. A lot have hooked up with a lot of people. A lot of kind of indulged perversions and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make them particularly marriageable either.
But why is it whenever we say something about the women, we have to say but men?
Well, because it's an observable fact, and marriage involves men and women.
Like it takes 2 to tango, dumbass. Like you see what I mean? She hates women, bro. Like what? Well, why is it every time we bring up the women, we got to bring up the men? Like because women aren't having sex by themselves and making babies by themselves. Now, are they? Like, no, there's a man at the end of the dick here. Even if the woman cheats on her husband, who's a man, guess who she's cheating on her husband with? Another man. So yeah, at the end of the day, you still got to bring the man into the conversation, because even if in a cheating scenario, they're both wrong, but it's the man at the end of that dick. At the end of the day, that's it, right? Again, yes, you have to bring up the man. It takes two to tango.
I know, but all I'm saying, Michael, all I'm saying is don't date. Like, it's just crazy sometimes. I get so curious because I say men shouldn't date women that used to have OnlyFans. Like, that shouldn't even be an argument. That should be like
I don't know. I mean, again, it's not ideal to have.
You wouldn't date a woman with an OnlyFans.
Well, I wouldn't date any woman now because I'm happily married.
No, but if you were single, right? You wouldn't do that.
It would be an obstacle. It would be an obstacle.
It would be such a big obstacle.
It would be an obstacle.
Do it. But that's the problem. I interview guys that are dating a girl for 6 months. They find out she used to have an OnlyFans account. These are real things that happen.
Sure. Yeah. It's not ideal. Though, frankly, I'm again to your point. I've been out of dating for a long time, but these days, can one find a girlfriend? I mean, I assume it can happen, but in modern kind of liberal secular dating, can one find a girlfriend who's never texted a naked picture of herself? I don't know. Women do this all the time now, and then it becomes a big scandal when they get.
Yeah. So do those women deserve to be wives?
I don't know.
What? Because they fell victims to some ex-boyfriend's revenge porn? I mean, again, even if she's not a freak in the streets, she's still a freak in the sheets. All right, there are plenty of women I've dated. They're complete professionals. But every once in a while, you get a text message, you open it up, boobies. Oh shit! Sometimes I'll be at work like, oh damn. I hope y'all didn't see that, right? Because she's freaky, like that is what it is. But doesn't mean like she's out here holding herself out or whatnot. No, sometimes a woman really likes you, and you're not a judgmental type of dude. That's the thing. Y'all are too judgmental. This is why women avoid y'all pill popping weirdos. Y'all sitting out here judging what a woman shouldn't do. If you want to bring the best out of a woman, stop judging. I'm being real with you. You may say, "Oh, dude." See that I knew it. I had a sneaking suspicion you were simping. They're talking about not judge a woman. Oh my God! Of course you should know what her body count is, and if she tells you what her body count is and it's over yours, shame her for it. No, dude, I'm telling you right now, you are going to lose 100% of the time. A woman, like, the more she trusts you and you that dude, bro, like. Yo, like, she gonna be freaking with you, guaranteed. But y'all not even gonna get to that level. Most of y'all have probably never seen that. That's why you're over here just listen to these guys. Oh my God, yeah, you gotta call her out, dude. She's such a hoe. Like, y'all don't know, bro. Like, a woman will really love them, man. I'm telling you. Listen, y'all have no idea. That's why, like, people, y'all get clowned and y'all get laughed at because even someone like Pearl doesn't, which is shocking because she's a woman, but it makes sense because she doesn't get play, right? Because she got play, she would know how to treat a man, especially a man she really likes, right? Likes like that. So some girls do that. Does that make them not marriageable because they sent the nude to a dude somewhere and somehow it got leaked? No. Like, it doesn't make them not marriageable at all. So that's the point he's trying to make. Like, this shit is frustrating, bro. Like, we 30 minutes into this, chat. I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna work. Shout out to Great Bill with the $2 super chat. Great Bill says, "Isn't Michael an example of a high value to Pearl?" Yeah. And here she look at the disrespect that Michael's going through, the continuous interruptions. Like, I mean, she doesn't. She has no idea how to treat a high value man. This is why she don't get him. She over here with blessings and shit. Hey, bro, blessings. If the allegations are true that you sleeping with Pearl, we're gonna have to revoke a couple cards. we taking them cards back, dog. All right, we gonna put you in a whole different category, my boy, because I'm gonna tell you this, she not it, dog. Like, she not it, bro.
I don't know that we deserve much of anything.
That's my point.
Ought we to do it? Is my.
That's my point. Is the women of today are not the women of yesterday, and it's becoming more and more difficult to find the women that you're talking about, and there are not enough to go around.
But you're framing.
That's my point.
Sure, but you're framing this as a question of who deserves to be married.
Yeah.
But my framing of it is what one ought to do. That marriage is a natural end of our nature.
I don't deal in oughts. I deal with what is.
No, you don't. You deal in bro science and hypotheticals. Nothing you said has any concrete to reality whatsoever. There is no what is. It's just what of.
Not
But-
what I
but-
want.
but-
Not
but
what
the-
I
it-
want.
the-
Not what I want the world to.
But the is of our nature implies an ought in our actions.
But
through
it's
the
not. It's
natural
not about
law.
what we want it to be, Michael. It's about what the world
No,
is.
I'm just saying
now.
how people ought to behave.
Yeah, no, Pearl, you just literally sat there and said that these group of women, do they deserve to get married? It's not a matter of if they deserve to get married or not. What is actually happening, if you were speaking reality, is they are getting married. So that means if you're forced to face reality, it means you have to hold the men who are marrying these women responsible. Because at the end of the day, even if you can say, okay, these women are bad, this is what's going to happen if you date a woman who does OnlyFans. At the end of the day, there's still going to be a man to marry her. So are you going to get mad at the woman, or are you going to get mad at the man? Right? And knowing Pearl, she's going to get pissed off at the woman. Like, how is the woman going to control a man who's loving after her and doesn't give a shit if she does OnlyFans? And I'm going to tell you this. There are a lot of guys out there who actually don't give a fuck. And this shit is getting normalized as the day goes on. Y'all religious pill poppers are losing like it's not even funny anymore. Like that. See, this is why I left religion. First of all, too many people died around me to even believe there was a God out there anymore. I mean, it was just too much. Too much for me to deal with. It's just whatever, bro. Ain't nobody out there listening. You just out here on your own, and you got to learn how to deal with it. All right. But then to even use that situation of something that isn't there to justify how you live your life right now. Bro, it's in your hands. You only get one go around, and that's it. You out here living the basic ideals and whatnot, bro. You are wasting your time. Don't get stuck in a fucking marriage because your Catholic church told you to stay in there regardless of it, because God is watching. Stop doing that. All right. You gotta live. All right. Live and obviously definitely be charitable and give back to people. Because I'm gonna tell you this: to find a purpose in life, it's so easy. People make it so hard because they put all this shit in front of it. It's easy. Your purpose is to give back. That's it. To give back what this world has given to you before you leave. That's your whole purpose. People just you guys lost in the sauce to think that everything is about your happiness and you. And no, you got to give back. That's ultimately the point of life. To live it to the fulfillment, to the best that you can, and then give back. That's it. Y'all are worried about the wrong damn things. That's why y'all so materialistic. Y'all are failing other people in life. This is why men are so lonely. Nobody's giving back. Everybody's selfish. Do you want to win? Do you know what your purpose is? You build what you can build, but give back what you can. Help somebody else who's down the ladder. It's that simple. And the feeling and the fulfillment you get from giving back, you can't measure it. It's literally filling. It's fulfilling. That's the whole point of it. It's a journey, all right? This is not a race. Y'all don't get this shit, bro. This is that just frustrates me. People are all that's why all your lives are fucked up. Your values are wrong. Even these Catholics, these religion fucks, your values are all wrong. I'm sorry. Yo, nefarious bread. Sorry, I have to get into it. Pro is frustrating me. I'm sorry, bro. But it says nefarious bread says Pearl still reeling over Brittany Vietti's hit piece. Facts. Like, she cannot get over it, bro. Bimbo Wops got him. Her and her buddy Rolo got. That shit was crazy.
They ought to get married, is what I'm saying.
Okay, well,
which is implied by our nature, which is the is.
Okay.
Right. Because at the very least, bro, you would say people want to have kids, right?
I mean, if women wanted to have kids so bad, why are they killing them like crazy?
What?
You know,
Yeah, there's a lot of abortion. It's
Yeah.
dreadful. But I'm just saying people
Yeah.
in general, you would admit, want to have kids.
Answer the question, bro. Please. Just answer the question.
Sometimes they do and they don't. I mean, women aren't having kids like they used to. I talk to women all the time that say they don't want to have kids.
People, yeah, they say it's
So,
unfortunate.
but
People say a lot of those things.
and that's where it's going.
But I guess-
mean, but half of women are going to be single and childless by 2030.
What about
that's
these
the way
men?
the world's going.
The men you're talking about, the men want to have kids, right? Or no, they're also degenerates. Everyone's just a degenerate now.
Men
Selfish.
want marriage relationships and families. Men want that in general.
Okay.
But there are obstacles now that make it increasingly difficult for men to do that. One is that yeah, it's really common.
So you would sacrifice having children?
One is that the women are increasingly lower quality. They've gained weight. The body count numbers are up.
Buy them a
Okay.
Stairmaster. I don't know, like get them a gym.
Oh, good luck. I tried to pay a girl to lose weight. I swear to God I did. Because she came on my show. No, I swear. And
I'm starting to realize, like, just like Rolo, I think these people, when they advocate for marriage and men should have more babies and whatnot, I think it's wrong. I think they're advocating for, sterilizing both men and women. Listen to what they're saying, bro. I think they're advocating for male sterilization or female sterilization, right? Because Michael Knowles is right. So do you not want men to have kids because they should be so afraid of the court system to reproduce? What's your point, Pearl? What exactly are you trying to get at here?
I said, because she was really fat and I told her to. And I was like, I'll pay for your training. And I said, I'll give you a cash prize. I said, I'll give you $3,000 if you lose weight. That's a ton of money.
Yeah.
She couldn't do it. She couldn't stick to it for a month. Yeah.
Do I get the offer?
Well, you look like you're in shape.
Stop it. Come on.
Bro, why are you should be the last one obsessed with any woman's weight. Why is she obsessed with women's weight, chat? That shit don't make any sense to me.
But that's my point. One obstacle is that the women are lower quality. Okay. The benefits are not the same. Most women are not raised to be traditional wives and mothers, and the cost is getting higher. So, it's becoming, divorces are getting more expensive. Weddings are getting more expensive. So when you combine those,
they don't need to be, but they are often.
I agree, but it's not about what I want the world to be.
So
I'm Catholic too, and I think there's awesome things about the Catholic Church. But
that's a big but. It's
but
never good to say I'm a part of this religion, but
it doesn't mean everyone's following it. It doesn't mean that's the norm. And I'm talking about what the world is, not what I want it to be.
But it's not just what you want it to be. I'm saying, like, if I'm a young man and I'm acknowledging a lot of the things you're saying, that's tough dating out there. Mm-hmm. But look, I want to have kids. I want to have a family. Mm-hmm. I know you say you don't want to give men advice.
I say every man, you have to decide for yourself.
But let's say the man came to you and said, Pearl, I know but I don't care what you want. I demand.
These hypothetical situations.
Well, we're just discussing a concept in the abstract. I think you're kind of sneaking around giving advice, because I think you're saying, look, through my reason, I've arrived at this conclusion about what's rational and advisable, but I'm not giving advice. So let's get through all that. Let's say the man comes to you, says, Pearl, give me the advice. Should I get married?
Are we reporters or preachers?
I'm just a writer.
Y'all are preachers at this point, because ain't nothing y'all say is factual.
That's my but that's my point. Is I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Your options are going to be completely different than another guy's options.
Why?
Because
I'm devilishly handsome.
Yeah. Devilishly handsome,
No. I'm telling you right now, if this guy was walking down the street with that blazer and the shoes and whatnot, he still looks average. There's nothing about him that stands out. Yeah, he's not, he's not bad, but he's just average. He looks like an average guy. The only thing that you can do that would distinguish him from anyone else is if, clearly he's flaunting his wealth. Then it'd be okay, yeah. But if you saw this guy walking down the street, especially downtown, it's like, okay, I see people in blazers that look like him all the time. There's nothing special. They're average too. So again, what are you saying, Pearl?
That's not the case for every man has to decide for himself. Do you think men should be extremely cautious when getting married?
I think they ought to be extremely prudent when getting married. Not cautious. I think courage is a virtue and the prerequisite for all the other virtues. So I don't think men should be little wallflowers backing away from a challenge, but they ought to be prudent. They ought to use their judgment properly. And so there are ways to mitigate risks within marriage. But furthermore, they ought to get married because that is the way to achieve the very thing you're suggesting they ought to, which is their purpose.
What if no women want to get married?
Well, they do want to get married.
What is this hypothetical scenario you're putting out there? What do you mean if women don't want to get married? What are you talking? Aren't you the one just saying that women are not eligible to get married? Pearl, what is your point? What are you trying to get at here? You're again, this is what Michael Knowles was saying. You're going back and you're sneaking around here just to land on a point that women ain't shit. What are you trying to get at here? Now you're saying, well, what if women don't want to get married? But aren't you the one that's saying women aren't eligible, or 70% of women don't deserve to get married? The fuck is going on?
No, they don't.
I mean,
because when women have the most choice, we don't choose marriage. Women have the most choice when it comes to commitment around the age of 22. They're not choosing to get married. I don't pay attention to what people say.
No, you mean when they have the most options, when they're the most marriageable.
Yeah, Michael, you get it now. She's scapegoating back to the red pill point, right? A woman in her 20s, they're not going to think about that until they start to reach the wall. That's what she's getting at.
But you will acknowledge those women who have been duped by feminism. maybe even after they're past their prime marriageable age.
No, I don't blame it on feminism. I look at it different. I know women.
What? Did she just hold up? Did she just say she doesn't blame it on feminism? That is the biggest crock of shit I have ever heard. Her entire channel practically rails against feminism. Now she doesn't blame feminism. Chat, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this. I can't do this, bro. She's not making any sense to me. She's not making any sense to me. What the hell does that even mean? What? Hold up. I didn't hear what I just heard. So now it's not a... You heard it here first. From Pearl's mouth herself, she does not blame feminism. All right? So all you red pill poppers that are saying feminism was a problem, apparently Pearl doesn't think it's a problem. I think she's being a contrarian. I don't know why, but he's agreeing with you. What is going on?
But acknowledge those women who have been duped by feminism, maybe even after they're past their prime marriageable age.
I don't blame it on feminism. I look at it different. I know women that have been raised in this culture that chose to get married at 22, waited till me, I know women that did the whole, exactly what you're describing.
If you don't blame it on feminism, are you saying it's biology? So maybe if it's a biology thing, then women who are younger naturally don't want to get married right away. They want to kind of live their life and, figure out their purpose, similar to men, right? Because that's the argument then you're making. Because now women have the freedom to do that. That's essentially what feminism is. Because back then, they didn't have the freedom to do that. Matter of fact, most of them had to get married to somebody. They had to be locked down by some man. Unfortunately, most of the time in their 20s, in that time. So are you saying, Pearl, if women were left up to their devices, even back then, before feminism, they probably would still have chosen to live their lives to fulfill us until they decide they want to settle down on their terms? I think I don't know if do you know what day it is today, Pearl? Do you know what argument you're trying to make here? I don't think you do.
So it was based on the choice. Every woman has choice. Every woman has agency.
And they got married.
What is going on?
Yes, but there's also women that chose to go on OnlyFans.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm saying.
I'm just saying, I think those women tend to regret it.
But I'm saying, I don't like blaming your decisions on society, because at the end of the day, you are responsible for the decisions that you make.
Right, but your education is responsible for forming the way that you think about things.
No, but there's people in the same education and they make different decisions.
When I mean education in the broad sense, meaning how people are raised, which gets to the point of marriage. But
I know there's people that that are raised in bad.
Interrupting, bro. It's been 30 minutes. I still don't know a valid point that Michael's trying to make. I feel, is it me? I think you're interrupting too damn much. Lay off the wine or whatever they put in that juice over there. Put it down. Stop talking over this guy. It's not very traditional, lady. All right? What are you doing? I can't even... Stop interrupting them.
Bad environments and choose not to do that. Everyone has everyone's got free will, Michael.
Sure, but we're also shaped by our social context and our educations.
Right, but aren't you you're responsible for the choices you make, right?
I'm a moral agent.
I am. Okay.
But I'm more morally free to act the more that I can discipline my lower passions and bring them into accord with my rational will, which is why I'm discussing marriage as a matter of reason. So I guess the question you'd have to ask is, even before we can say whether or not you want to give advice to men, but should they or shouldn't they? What is marriage for? What's the point of it?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point of marriage?
She don't even know.
I think that the point of marriage is, is to create a union. It's supposed to be you are submitting to your husband's authority and you're creating a family.
Wrong. That ain't the point of marriage, bruh. I'm going to tell you right now, even till this day, it's about economics. It ain't about love at the end of the day, okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not about creating a union. Marriage has always been about economics. Since the age-old times of kings and queens where they would just marry somebody else because it was economically beneficial, it's still the same today, right? Even the economic situation in the West is suited for marriage couples, right? You get certain tax breaks that are allotted to you versus if you were single, you pay more. So again, it's all about economics. Okay, people can get married. Yeah, you can grow to love, and love can come at the end of it, right? But most of the time, marriage has always been about economics and business, right? It's not. I don't know, bro. It wasn't until like people started selling diamonds. Wasn't it the diamond commercial companies that made it about like, oh well, you gotta love her, right? You love her, spend $3,000 or $10,000 on this ring because you gotta show her you love her, because that's what marriage is all about. So before the diamond industry or the diamond mafia got a hold of the marketing business, it was all about economics, man. Women back in the 50s, 30s would get married to men who had jobs because they had jobs. It was economically possible for them to raise a family and, be fine. It's not about, love at the end of the day most of the time, bro. Sometimes it's just economics. I don't know.
And creating a family.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's forming a union with certain roles and, a structure, and to create a family.
And do you think that's how it's being used today for the average person? For the average person.
Yeah, it forms a union. It creates a family.
The average marriage is 7 years.
Yeah, but it's a union.
But
I think there's more to marriage than you described, but I think that those are some basics.
The average marriage is 7 years.
Right, but that still forms a union and often creates a family. That's what you're talking about, the struggles.
Right, but it's supposed to be for life. Not for now.
I agree.
And that's what I say. It's not about what ought to be. It's about what is today. And right now, a man cannot have children in this country and not be signed up for the state contract. So
that's always been true.
I think, but my point is, why can't we change the laws first?
Because we live in time and space, and you'll die alone without having had kids and without having the joys of a family.
Why? You guys are one of the most influential media networks.
We are. And we're very persuasive, very powerful.
You guys are.
And yet we're not changing the divorce laws. Try as we might. It hasn't happened.
No, but you guys barely cover it.
I talk about it all the time. What are you talking about? I talk about marriage on my show probably every single day.
Right, but when we talk about specifics, I was, talking about the tender years doctrine.
Yeah.
It's like even in California.
Sure,
if a woman lies about paternity of the child and it's not found out before the age of 2, that man's on child support for life, even though that woman committed fraud. And these are real things that happen in this country.
The man is on if the father doesn't discover that he's not really the father.
Yeah.
Because he's acting basically as like a duped adoptive father or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again,
because the way the laws are is it goes in the best interest of the child, which generally means the best interest of the mother.
Right, but you do not need to convince me that the divorce laws are dreadful.
Right.
What you do need to convince me of is that men ought not to be married until the laws are changed.
Why do men have to sacrifice their security for women's security? Women have made the choice to leave marriages. Women have made the choice to collect alimony and child support. Why do men need to sacrifice their security for women's?
Because it is good for men to be married and to have children. It's not that they're forced or coerced. It's good for them.
But then why is the reputation of marriage so bad? If this was a great product,
I don't think it's so bad. I think it's the most popular.
Chat, is it me or is Pearl arguing against marriage? Because if she is, Pearl, I don't think you're gonna make it that far in the conservative movement. I'm just being honest with you. It seems like you're arguing strong against marriage, but then if that's the case, what is the point of your old channel? What is the point of even doing a documentary or hosting a wife school? What's the point of doing anything you're doing if it seems like you've already given up and you're going in the opposite way? I don't think this is going to work out too well.
Institution in human history.
Because no, that's not true. Because you're out of touch. Why do we have phrases like happy wife,
happy life? A married man is out of touch.
Why do we have phrases like it's cheaper to keep her? Why are those these aren't made up, Michael?
Right, they're kind of funny little jokes about marriage.
We have these phrases, it's cheaper to keep her. Okay, there are tons of phrases for tons of different things. That's still not it's cheaper to keep her. The reason that phrase has been going out is because a lot of people, they just chose to stay in bad marriage. No, that's oh my goodness, bro. Like, I didn't make this up. These things are out here. Yeah. But doesn't mean that there's a direct correlation. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like,
which is the enduring institution, the popularity of which is attested to by its permanence throughout human life.
Why do they ring true?
They don't really ring true to me. Happy wife, happy life. Happy wife, happy life is a recipe for a terrible marriage.
We agree. Yeah, we agree.
Right. But it's kind of a joke. I mean, we make little jokes about that. In the Henny Youngman line, "Take my wife, please." I might use that line, but I don't mean it.
Why is that funny?
Because
it rings.
Because it's a joke. It's a joke. People try to do edgy shit. Sometimes people play with marriage jokes. Sometimes I've been around people that make jokes about fucking dead babies, which I'm like, yo, that's some serious dog humor you got there, bro. Stay away from me. But I've been around people like that. Like, huh? Like, people make jokes about anything. All right? Ain't y'all free speech absolutists, right? So nothing should be off limits to joke about. So why people, if people decide to joke about their marriage, why that doesn't mean that's a big problem? Like, Pearl, what are you talking about?
Because it's ironic. Quite the opposite.
No,
right? It's funny because it's ironic.
No, it's funny because this stuff rings. Like,
it's true. You bicker with your spouse sometimes. That's the truthful part.
Mm-hmm.
The ironic part is you don't actually want to give your wife away and take my wife, please.
Okay, well,
right.
But okay, it's cheaper to keep
honestly, bro. I'm telling you right now, Pearl. Usually, those phrases, they actually prove a bunch of reasons why modern men aren't really ready for marriage. Because again, marriage goes through its ups and downs. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not, right? It's not you get married and it's happily ever after. You get married, the work's just getting started. Okay, so there's gonna be a lot of arguments, and sometimes during heated arguments, okay, you take a step back. Yeah, it makes sense to be making jokes like that, like, keep my wife, you can have her, right? Well, it's cheaper to keep her, right? Because you can get so mad sometimes, but yeah, you don't want to get divorced. You just, it's just an argument, right? So you can talk about that stuff with your friend, because these phrases, they originate from guys, to hang out and they'll talk about it. If they're dealing with problems at home, they'll talk to their friends about it, right? And friends will be like, okay, well, maybe you should do this or do that. It's cheaper to keep her. It's a laugh about it, right? Because at the end of the day, the guy's not planning on leaving his wife. They just had a bad argument. That's usually the cases where these phrases come up. When people are saying these sayings, it doesn't mean that there's a truism to it. No, it's oftentimes just this dumb saying. Like, what the fuck?
That's a phrase, right?
Yeah.
Why does it exist?
It exists because divorce laws are so bad, and that's what the joke is about.
Okay, so again, if the marriage contract is so good, why do you have to convince men to sign up if they're getting such great benefits from marriage?
Because we live in the reason that we need to convince people to get married is because liberalism has inculcated in people an extreme individualism and an extreme subject.
No, it's not liberalism that does that. Capitalism does that. All right. Capitalism values individual enterprise over anything else. As long as the market wins, who cares, right? That it's not the function of liberalism. You see, again, this is what I don't like about these conservatives. They don't even know what the definition of being a liberal is. All right, it's just, hey, let the free market do what it does, but people shouldn't interfere and fuck shit up, right? Live as you do, don't, as long as you're not interfering and fucking up people's rights. They've taken liberalism to mean like the alt left or the far left or whatever it is, right? It's not what it means. And it's not liberalism that's saying, oh yeah, you guys, individual culture, that's all you should value. No, it's the end result of capitalism. But y'all not ready to have that conversation yet, because conservatives, you guys are the big dick guzzlers for capitalism. It's y'all all day long. So yeah, and I'm not saying capitalism it's like I'm not trying to be a commie or anything like that. I'm not saying that, okay? But I'm just saying, like, the capitalism does value individual enterprise over anything, right? That's it. As long as you're out here making your money, fuck whoever can worry about it. That's why you have so many environmental problems, health problems, pollution problems, all these different problems, because you got companies who are valuing enterprise over human health. That's just what it is. Okay. And guess what? In America, companies are also people.
Objectivism that disconnects their actions and their interests from reason and objective reality and the common good. That's the actual reason why. And it's not just pertaining to marriage. It pertains to building up wealth. It pertains to duties that are owed to the family, to the community, and to God. It pertains to all aspects of public life. It's not just marriage, but because marriage is the fundamental political building block, you see it expressed there.
I'm not against marriage, but I think that men, regardless of what I say, because I'm not going to convince the entire country to get married. Like, no matter what I say.
You don't seem interested in doing so.
Because I don't talk about in what I want the world to be.
You talk about how dreadful marriage is.
I don't talk about no, there's good marriages, Michael. But marriages, we do it today, is not marriage anymore. And I cannot fault men for being cautious. And some men just aren't going to get married because the laws are too favorable to women.
It's not.
And I think that, okay, I'm going to tell a story. I want you to not interrupt me.
Okay.
Can you please?
The balls on this chick. What? You've been interrupting him this entire time. I don't even know what his whole point is because you've been interrupting him. But over here, she's like, I'm going to tell a story and please don't interrupt me. The balls. Are you guys hearing this shit? What is going on?
Please not.
Anytime. I would never interrupt a lady.
Okay.
He's just playing with her. Now he's just playing with her, bro. He knows what's going on.
Interrupt me.
Okay.
Can you please not?
Anytime. I would never interrupt a lady.
Okay. So I do interviews of men that have been divorced often. Okay. And there is a guy I interviewed and he married a Christian woman. Okay. Good Christian woman, no kids, not overweight, no tattoos,
checks all the boxes.
No glaring red flags. Okay. They have 2 children together. And what happened was one day he comes home. And when he comes home from work, the wife has filed a temporary restraining order on him. Women can get these just like that. He's kicked out of his house. No trial, no evidence, no nothing. Okay. Now he has to wait. It's during COVID. So he has to wait a year and a half to even get to see his children. Okay. And even fight for them. And by the time he gets to court, the mom's been in the kid's ear saying how terrible of a person he is. Okay. Now they go to court and they say to him, well, you haven't been in the kid's life for a year and a half, even though she lied about the abuse and they figured that out in court. This man had, and I saw his court documents, text evidence that this woman was planning to do this to him. In the year, he still had to pay the mortgage on the house. He still had to pay child support in that year and a half period. Goes to court. Now, he doesn't get access to his children. He hasn't seen his kids in 2 years. Michael, they live a mile from him.
That's awful.
A mile from him.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that sounds horrible. And it's a horrible situation. Don't get me wrong. But this seems like it's anecdotal evidence. Okay. It's coming from an anecdotal perspective. It's yours. It's personal. So it's not it's not indicative of what the facts are, though. So just because, listen, I know plenty of brothers that went through it in divorce. I went through it in divorce. Okay. So again, it's crazy how this woman is going to sit there and try to tell a man what's going on. Like, okay, I've heard way worse stories than that, even that, what you're telling us right now. All right. And I'm sure y'all in the chat have relatives who've been through way worse by that, but by women they've dealt with. Okay. But those are all anecdotal experience at the end of the day. All right. And this is something, I'm not saying they're not valuable, but I'm saying that when it comes to these pill popping weirdos over here, they don't value anecdotal experience, right? They're the facts and evidence crew. So why is it that she's trying to use an anecdotal experience based off of interview she had with a guy that we don't know what the story is? For all we know, this guy could be all made up story. We don't know. I haven't seen the interview. Have you guys seen the interview? Is there an interview out there? Send it to me if there is. I haven't seen one on the story she's talking about. Is this the interview she's been saying that she's going to be doing for a documentary for years now that hasn't come out? What interview, right? But it's still your personal experience at the end of the day. You can't use that to try to convince me of the stats that are already out there right now. It doesn't matter, all right? At the end of the day, using your logic, it still doesn't matter. It's your personal experience. We know what happens. It's still your personal experience. We want to know what the stats are because that's what you guys claim to be about, right?
So stressed out, he loses his job. Because can you imagine going through that? And he's an average earner. He's not like, because I've interviewed men that make, I interviewed a guy from Texas. He spent $1.5 million on a divorce. He got his kids every other weekend. And these are real things. And Michael, the saddest thing that you see is a man. I've interviewed so many men that I would not be surprised if they committed suicide in the next year because they're
I got divorced. I spent a shit ton of money in court and attorney fees, and I'm still paying child support. Again, I'm part of that statistics too. It's still anecdotal at the end of the day. Okay, so you just all she's saying right now is just based off of opinion and her the people she's been speaking to. Right? Again, I'm not saying these things don't happen. Right? And they're the worst cases of these things happening. But the vast majority of divorces that happen out there, they don't go to this extreme. So again, I'm sorry, Pearl. I'm using your argument. I want to see the stats, the facts, not your anecdotal experiences. I'm sorry, because I can sit here, if I really wanted to, if I can just create a channel and talk to men about my divorce experience, and it was horrible. It was horrible. I could sit there and just tell you a sob story about what I went through and all that. And yeah, I can use that, and then I can use that to say, hey, this is what you're going to face. But is that necessarily true? No, because it's based off of my situation. I know brothers that I have friends of men that went through worse shit than I went through. They're paying way more in child support than I'm paying. Scenarios vastly different. They're not trying to kill themselves. They're just rolling with it, because that's what happens. It's a life. Situations happen. Some of them, they didn't choose the right women. Some of them, these women, we were telling them they were on some bullshit. They didn't listen to us when they were supposed to. Maybe that's the same for some of these dudes too. That's why with some of these anecdotal stories you're putting out there, I got to see the full thing. I'm sorry, because some of my homies, they talk about right now, I'm like, yo, I told you about that girl. We told you about that girl, but now look what you did. now you complain, but look what you did. Like, yeah, I know. But that's what happens. It's a conversation. We'll drink over it, play some games, and then it's over with. That's why you have the boys. You hang out with the boys because you talk about this very same scenario, right? How many of y'all even have friends out there that are men that are going through shit? Right? Again, a lot of these dudes, a lot of their perspective comes from the internet. They don't actually, there's no realism to these people, bro.
The woman has completely ruined their reputation. She's called him an abuser, all of this stuff. So his friends, it's completely different with his friends. His kids think he's the bad guy. He's out of money, and he has to start over at 40, 45, 50 years old. And men are 9 times more likely.
What do you mean start over?
Start over as in money, shit.
Yeah.
Like he has to start his life over. They're wrecked. They're wrecked in these. And the problem is in family court, it's not based on evidence. It is not. It is based on a balance of probabilities, meaning it is more likely that he did it than he didn't.
Yeah.
And women are not punished for falsely accusing men of abuse because they've changed the definition of abuse. And these are, even if it's
Stop. Okay. That's not true at all. Matter of fact, I think the lead attorney had a good explanation for why it isn't, right? I think the lead attorney actually says that the police officers, some of them in those districts, actually know that a lot of this stuff, the reason why because they don't want to discourage women from reporting scenarios that actually happen to them, right? So again, that's why a lot of the false reportings and things like that, they go on and get prosecuted and things like that. And yeah, you got to go through the whole gambit, but still, like, they want to make sure that if women see that at least people are getting prosecuted and stuff like that, if some shit really happened to them, yeah, obviously they're going to be more motivated to go out and report it. But oftentimes most assaults and things that happen, women don't report it because of shit like this, right? So it goes underreported, so they want to increase that. And when lead attorney was explaining that, it kind of made sense, right? I still don't agree with it. It's still unfair, and I still think that false accusers should get equal punishment to what the falsely accused would have got if they were found guilty, right? I believe that wholeheartedly. But then again, we don't live in a perfect world. So it's a tough situation. But anybody saying they have the one quick answer, like a lot of these pill popping bozos are saying, it's just wrong. It is not. But again, there's a lot of nuance to life. It's not just black and white like these guys make it out to be. JD Informant with the 2. Shout out to you. He says, hold on, nigga. Pearl is a 10 and Great Pill agrees. What? Wait, what? Great Pill, what's going on? Great Pill, nah, bro, ain't no way. Nah, y'all trolling, bro. Ain't no way. M Dot with the 5. Shout out to M Dot. M Dot says Pearl's family might need to increase the offer to wife Pearl from 9 acres to 100 acres. She's unbearable. I mean, tell me about it, bro. I mean, just tell me about it, dude. We need 100 acres. Hey, the black delegation, we need actually make it 200 acres. Let's make it 200 acres, right? Because dealing with this mess, I mean, this is just too much. This is just too much, all right? Think about this. You're not going to get dinner. You're not even going to get kids out of her. You're not going to get anything but this. Congratulations. I mean, no, that seems like a bad deal. Even 200 acres seems a little too low. I don't know. Make that 5 mules and you got a deal. Ain't that right, Greenfield? Nah, hey, Great Bill. Say that ain't true, bro. Night Jade with the 5. Shout out to Night Jade. Night Jade says, why does Pearl look like her makeup artist was a funeral director? Oh my God. That was brutal. that is a brutal statement. God damn. God damn, Night Jade. Hey, yo. Now the more you look at it, it kind of makes sense. I think her problem is she needs the tan. If that's possible for her, right? Is it me, Chad? It's just a little too pale, right? I mean, go ahead. You flex the pale skin, sister. You do what you got to do, right? But like, I feel like, because like I can see all the redness clearly. You can see all the makeup they applied to her face, because she's just too pale. And even her neck, her face is different from the color of her neck, right? Because this looks like it just looks weird. But yeah, she just needs to get a tan. Go to a tanning salon. Spend about 5 minutes per session. You get that natural hue to you, and then go from there. You're too pale to. I don't know.
5% of men that this happens to. Let's say out of 100, this happens to 5%. Even in the Christian churches. I would never, if I got on a plane and there was there was a 20% chance of I get to paradise, and there's a 5% chance of it crashing. I'm not getting on.
Right.
And you have to understand, this is death to a lot of men. The idea that they can't see their kids that are a mile from them. They're sending them money. And Glenn, a guy he's one of the guys that happened to.
Yeah.
And he didn't, it's like a lot of these guys did everything that you guys say. And when you guys say get married young, a lot of these men don't know what they're signing up for. And you're not going to be there when their entire life falls apart. I interview them on the other side. And that's why when you just say, just find a good Christian girl and get married.
That's not exactly what
I'm paraphrasing.
But it's an important distinction.
But when you say, which is the minority, that's not the majority of women. We know that's not the majority of women that are praying every day, that are going to Latin Mass.
That's probably not you either. Like, you're not there. That's why you're not married either. Like, what is this?
Yeah,
I'm Catholic. Most of the women I went to school with are not practicing now.
Isn't the girl that called you out your best friend? Ain't she married now? Don't she have a kid? Why are you still online? Huh? Why are you still online? Go do what your friends are doing.
So this is not the majority of women. And I just don't think, I think sometimes you minimize the risk. Out of every 100 divorces, and I know we were going to go back and forth on the numbers, but just trust me that I'm not making this up.
Yeah, trust me, bro. he basically called her out on the stats that she listed off before, but trust me, bro, I'm not making it up. Yeah, okay, no one's saying you made it up, but doesn't mean the where you got the numbers from weren't made up either. Like that stupid book that you were referencing where 5% of women are no 5% of marriageable women. No, that was a blogger that wrote that, and he called that out. That wasn't a true statement at all, Pearl. So yeah, it may be true because the person wrote in the book and you read it somewhere, but doesn't mean the statement's actually true itself.
It's 30% are malicious.
Where did
and by
malicious, they're all malicious, actually.
No, I don't say that. And I'm not anti. Okay.
I think divorce is always malicious.
But when I say malicious, I mean alienating the child or the father from the kids, putting them on child support, alimony. So that's 30. That's around out of every 100 divorces, around 13.
Yeah.
So
again, I would say it's high.
That's not from. But that's
where are these?
Not an insignificant number. Men, I interviewed a guy.
Where are these numbers coming from, Pearl? You can't. Yo, Michael knows. How are you letting this just drag on? You gotta hold her to a point, bro. Where are these numbers coming from? She's saying, "Trust me, bro. I didn't make them up." I don't know if I can trust that. I'm just being. I don't know if I can trust any of that. None of that makes any sense to me. Where are you getting these numbers out from, Pearl?
1.5 million on a divorce.
Yeah.
He gets to see his kids every other weekend.
It's awful.
It's awful. And that's why, we could go back and forth about, the numbers, but
because your numbers are not based on anything real or factual. So that's why you're going to go back and forth, because he's going to have the counteractive numbers to refute your argument. And you know that. But we could go back and forth about the numbers because you're wrong. Your stats are wrong. And I wish he would go back and forth with you if he knew the numbers. I don't know if he knows it off the top of his head or the research you're quoting.
so many men on the brink of suicide, and they didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that they didn't do anything wrong,
Yeah,
but I agree. The situation is just dreadful. We all do terrible things, and there before the grace of God go all of us, because we're all sinners. And the fact that something went so terribly wrong in their marriage suggests that, well, there's no such thing as no fault divorce, so there was fault somewhere. But we agree so broadly that I'm not exactly sure what we disagree about. We agree that the divorce court system is dreadful. We agree that the divorce laws are terrible. We agree that modern dating is challenging. But I guess.
So what I would say to switch
she's being a contrarian. That's all. I mean, that's why we're confused. Like, what's going on? Like, all of a sudden she's arguing against marriage. I thought that's what she wanted. That's why we're so fucking confused. Like, we thought y'all would agree, but now she's disagreeing. That's how you know she doesn't know what she's doing, right? She doesn't know what she's. I don't even know if she even knows what show she's on right now. Okay, because that's what we're saying. Like, yo, y'all agree. Now she's just making it seem like she disagrees. I don't get where she's going at here.
things. I think men shouldn't vote for either party.
What?
Because neither party is taking their issues seriously. I mean,
The issue of divorce.
where is the mandatory DNA testing? I mean, people differentiate.
I would not
on
like
these
mandatory.
People that, around 5% of men, up to 30. I mean, it's disputed. I don't want to go back and forth.
Disputed. You don't want to go back and forth. I want to go back and forth on the numbers, girl, because I think you're lying. No. I want to go back and forth on the numbers. All right. You don't want to go back and forth because you'd lose. All right. You would lose because there's always a stat to back a point. But I'm pretty sure what the point you're backing, it's probably not from a legitimate source. Okay. Again, I want to go on the numbers. Where are you getting these from? You're just throwing these stats out there, and we don't know where they're coming from. The last one you threw out there came from a book written by some blogger. The other one was written by some what do you call a commentator or a political commentator, but he wasn't like a legitimate researcher. So none of this. Where are you getting this stuff from? Nefarious Breed, shout out to you for the $5 super chat. Says, I support the word Duke. Been watching since Destiny/Such Marquardt video. Oh shit, that was a minute ago. Shout out to you. Yeah, that was crazy, bro. What's an NFT? Such Marquardt. Hold up, I gotta give you something for that. I gotta give you something for that. Hold up.
But ass.
Shout out to you though. It says, but I can't listen to anymore. Back to Cyberpunk 2077, bro. I need to hold on. I need to throw up some. I don't know, bro. I need to throw up something. I need to relax I told you would get brain damage from this. What did I tell y'all, chat? I told you were gonna get brain damage from this interview, bro. And we're 48 minutes in. It's not looking good. I don't know how much I can last either. I'm just being real with you, Nefarious.
All day, but a significant number of men are raising children that are not theirs.
There's a line in I think it's the Odyssey of where the son of Odysseus says, "It's a wise man who knows his own father." It's true. It's been true for a long time.
Okay, well, I don't know what that has to.
Well,
she's so flustered. What an airhead. What a complete, total airhead, bro.
You raised the question of paternity, and I'm saying this has been a long-standing trope in the Western tradition. Go back to the earliest days.
But my point is they're not taking men's issues seriously. I don't think either party is. So I think, really, if it was up to me, I would say, men, don't vote until one of the parties starts taking you seriously. I'm
sorry, dude, but that goes against what Myron says, because Myron says in order to take a woman seriously, you have to have sex with 50 different women in order for you to know what women are like. So which is it? Are you going to debate Myron on his talking point? Because it seems like you are going at odds now, right? Now you're saying, no, women shouldn't sleep around until they're ready to go, right? That's fine. But then what about the men who are doing the sleeping around? Or at least the men Myron is encouraging to do the sleeping around. Because then if they're trying to sleep around with 50 women, but then the women are saying, no, we don't want to do it because, Pearl says no, then doesn't that mean that men aren't going to get the experience on how to date a woman? I mean, it seems like y'all are just contradicting each other, huh? Almost like this is not really a real thing you guys care about. Kind of like just a thing for fame and clout. Kind of seems similar, huh? Yeah, it makes sense.
I think the left should try to buy him, not buy him, but if Biden came out tomorrow and said, "Hey, we're going to make divorce and family court more fair. We're going to, we're going to do mandatory DNA test." You might disagree with that.
I wouldn't like that. I find that to be quite disrespectful to the institution.
I want to hear Pearl, please. Please let him explain why he doesn't want mandatory DNA testing. And I'm genuinely curious to hear his point on that. I don't know, because a lot of the red pillars, they advocate for DNA testing, right? So if there's going to be a rift between normal conservatives and these alt-right red pill poppers, I want to know, this might be one of it. So what is his reasoning for supporting, no DNA testing? I want to know. But again, is Pearl even gonna let him get a word in?
Marriage.
Well, I think it's more disrespectful that women are lying to men about paternity, and that's a real problem.
Sure.
So
We get
deceitful women. That's a problem throughout history.
right, and even if it's 2%, 1%, that's 1 out of every 100 guys. That's a real issue.
Shut up.
And there's no penalty for women doing it, even though it's fraud.
Sure.
And so until the right and the left start taking men seriously when it comes to their, their issues, I think men should bow out. But this is Pearl's world.
The woman trying to teach women how to get married is telling men to bow out of marriage. I'm done, bro. I can't do this, bro. She's an idiot. She's such an idiot, bro. Like, what is this? What are we talking about here? What do you want, Pearl? What do you want? Why even have a show? Huh? Maybe your show should just be dedicated to encouraging divorces worldwide, right? What are we doing? Bro, chat, I don't know if I can make it, bro. I don't know if I can do it.
In Pearl's world,
yeah.
Again, so it's confusing because you say, I don't ever tell men what I think they ought to do, but you just said, I think men should.
Well, I think that would be a strategy.
Right, but you say the same kind of thing when you say, I think men ought to wait until the laws change before they get married.
No, every man has to decide for himself.
No, because even I called that out. You're telling men what to do while pretending you don't want to tell men what to do. It's what Rollo does all the time, but he calls it a praxeology. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. He calls it a prescription, not advice. He calls it a prescription. Praxeology is when he's trying to make judgments off of women's behaviors, right? But no, he calls it a prescription. Listen, I don't care if you're prescribing an advice or you're giving an advice, you're still telling people what to do or suggesting such. So again, I don't get it, but they do this shit all the time, right? They want to make it seem like, oh, no. Men, it's your idea to not get married. I'm just suggesting you shouldn't get married, but it's your idea though. It's like they're playing the game of Inception. They're trying to plant that idea into young men's heads, and then young men do buy into it and they don't get married, or some of them, they don't want to get married because they're listening to Pearl, and then they wonder why men and women aren't getting married anymore. You're feeding this shit. All of you guys are feeding this shit.
Himself.
You just told men what to do when it comes to voting.
Every man has to decide for himself what he does in his personal life. I think a good strategy could be that men walk away until the laws change. I think it's fair. Like, I think that's a good strategy.
Men should walk away till the laws change. Are you high? First of all, that's not going to happen. Telling men to walk away from building relationships with women, it's like telling them to ignore their biological, their biological incentives. That's essentially what you're saying. Men will never stop ignoring women. No matter how much they say they hate women and whatnot, it's still a need, okay? Women are very, very important in society. So anyone like you that tries to diminish that, you're high, and most men wouldn't agree with you, okay? So you saying, well, men should just walk away until the laws change. No, that's not how it happens. Men would even go different routes. They will even go the Donnie Boy route. Donnie Boy still got married. He didn't sign a contract. He still get married. What does that tell you? There's a natural want for men to get married. So you saying, no, change the laws. It doesn't matter. They'll still go outside of the laws, or they'll go to a different country and get married. You're not stopping men from getting married. So what's going to end up happening if the world ran the way Pearl wanted to, okay, women, first of all, aren't going to be sitting there on their knees collectively begging men to get back to the table if men decide to walk away. They're not going to do that. Unless you decide to do a mass overhaul on women's rights, there ain't no way women are going to look at you and say, okay, bye-bye. Oh, you guys want to walk away? Bye-bye. Some of them will be hurt, but women aren't going to sit there and collectively grieve about the men not wanting to marry them. They'll complain about it here and there, but most women, I'm going to tell you this right now, Pearl, I think you're the one who's out of touch. Most women just want to stay single, like you. They want to stay single. Most women don't want to be attached to a man. Sometimes, just like a man who doesn't want to be attached to a woman. Okay, sometimes I get those vibes. I'm like, I don't want to. Nah, it's just me and my daughter, me and her against the world. I want it that way. That's the way I want it, right? And sometimes I'll be like, I want to be booed up right now, right? It's a feeling. Sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes I'm like, I want to be single. Sometimes I want to stay. I want to be booed up. It's just how it is, right? Again, most of the time, women are feeling the same way too. They don't. Oftentimes, yeah, they want to be with a man, but they don't want to like be in like that. Sometimes they don't want that overwhelming commitment. Yeah, sometimes a man who they can lay next to for one night is good enough. Who cares, right? But not everyone is seeking that. Oh, I gotta find me a man and get married. Again, we're living in a different time. Women have the option to choose now, and some of them just want to go find out what life has in store for them. So they'll go off and travel somewhere or go off and go explore life. But then y'all niggas get mad at that. Oh, look at her. She's traveling. How dare she travel? Don't you know that you're wasting her time? She's on a biological clock right now. How dare she travel? Okay, she's gonna waste her time traveling and then not have kids. Okay, this is why society is going down the drain. No, just like we encourage men to go seek their destinies, go travel the world and do things. Yeah, so women have those feelings too, and some of them, with the freedom they have, choose to exercise that. Is there anything wrong with that? No, it's simply a choice. Unless you guys aren't for freedom of choosing or speech, then I guess it makes sense, right? I don't know.
There are other ones. Maybe you could come up with some. You guys are one of the largest, political media organizations.
Well,
but I think a better strategy for you guys would be to maybe start catering, to start, because I don't really think banning no-fault divorce would really change much. The culture is what it is.
Would change a ton. When they introduced no-fault divorce in 1969, I think it was, in Canada, the divorce rates shot up 500% within 2 years. Ending no-fault divorce. First of all, no-fault divorce wasn't even recognized in liberal New York until 2010. That change alone, it wouldn't solve the problem, but it would go a long way towards
solving the problem. That generation, a lot of them were separated anyways.
Separation is one thing. Divorce is quite another. Because that would mitigate all the problems you're describing.
I would be for it. I just don't see that getting passed anytime soon.
I don't see any of these laws getting passed.
Yeah, even the shit you brought up, Pro, it's not happening anytime soon either. You're not the marriage laws aren't going to go through this overhaul and change. Men are going to be waiting forever if they're waiting for the marriage laws to change. It ain't changing, bro. Too many people are entrenched in the system for that to happen like that. It's not happening. All right. Again, just like the no-fault divorce thing, and then let me just get into this real quick. For her to even utter the statement that no-fault divorce isn't going to change anything if they repealed it is stupid. It just shows you she doesn't know what she's arguing about. Because if people who are all of a sudden married right now, let's say they want a divorce, and because it's for reasons where it's not like infidelity or anything like that, adultery, major and whatnot, it'd be significantly harder for them to leave that relationship. Not only that, let's say if it's something that's even crazier, right? Like something like verbal abuse, psychological abuse, because relationships tend to harbor certain things like that, right? Then again, now all of a sudden, no-fault divorce, people are forced to stay in relationships that aren't really beneficial for them, right? This is how problems in the household, especially when it comes to children, starts to pop up. And remember, I told you that a lot of mass shooters, it's not because of single moms, it's because kids come out of broken households where mama and daddy always fighting. This is the shit right here. Okay, so listen, if you're a bad relationship, don't endure it. I think it's time for the sake of the kids to maybe find something else. Because oftentimes it's better to be divorced as long as the mom and the dad is involved and still be in the kids' lives than to be together and be toxic and have the kid observe all of that. Because either way, it's not going to work out for that kid.
That's why I'm telling men, don't put off your life and put off having a family until the laws get passed.
Well, I think we would have a lot better chance of getting them passed if that was the number one issue you guys were talking about. If that was the number one issue.
It is. I don't think I'm exaggerating.
Okay.
It might be the number one issue I've talked about. I mean, I was just at CPAC and I got in all sorts of trouble for saying that the way that people describe marriage these days is wrong, and marriage is a lifelong union between a man and a woman.
Right, but you would agree it's not how it's practiced today.
It is how it's practiced by the people who have
Would you agree
marriages.
It's not how it's practiced today, not in the special religion, but by and large?
Again, when you say special religion, it seems to me you're trying to marginalize the Catholic faith or other.
I know. And then this is what we're saying. And she's supposed to be a Catholic, right? I mean, come on, Michael. Do you believe she's a Catholic? Because it seems like she's putting Catholics in a little box. And I'm glad you finally called her out on it. I've been waiting for this to happen because I'm like, how are you going to sit there and let her call herself a Catholic? And this is what she's saying. Yo, Deb, shout out to you for the 5. Deb says she's jumping around because she doesn't want to be held down to anything she says. Facts. And even Michael Knowles knows that. Right? He knows that. He even said that. You're slipping around a little bit. That's what she's doing. There are no stats or studies that back up anything conclusively. Facts. There isn't none. Even he said that you can lie with stats. And it's true. You can lie. You can have stats to say anything, or you can rephrase the numbers to mean something else. I mean, I don't know how people can't figure this out by now, but it's true. Lay with the $5 super chat. Shout out to Lay. Lay says, Duke, do at least the part when her producer had to stop the stream and feed her answers. Wait, what? Can you timestamp, please? Timestamp, please. Let me know. When did this happen? Says, who is going to pay for this DNA testing? Yo, could we get a timestamp on that? Because we only 51 minutes in, and this is a 2.5 hour video. So we're going to need timestamp because otherwise, I'm sorry, bro. My brain might explode before we get to that point. I'm just being real, bro. This argument is just so horrible.
Other faiths.
I'm Catholic.
I suppose, but I think you're marginalizing it anyway. But religion is just a habit of virtue that inclines the will to give to God what he deserves, right? So it's just kind of the way that one.
Sorry. The reason I say that is because I grew up in the Catholic faith, and I don't think that exempts men from the risk of getting married. You know,
you grew up in a Catholic faith doesn't mean that you're like a devout Catholic like Michael Knowles. Okay, I grew up Catholic too. I don't go to church. Matter of fact, the last time I went to church was it was a while ago. This was a minute ago, bro. I'm not. I can still call myself culturally Catholic, right? I was raised Catholic. My parents were Catholic, right? I can say that, right? But am I actually Catholic? Do I actually believe in the stuff going on? No. And I'm not going to sit there and pretend I am, right? No, I don't do that, right? But I am from a Catholic background, but I'm not going to sit here and make arguments for Catholicism. But Pearl is doing the opposite. Clearly, she's not religious. It's obvious now. She's been marginalizing her own faith. Because I'm going to tell you this. If I was religious, I'll probably be a little bit more defensive about my religion. And I wouldn't let her get away with the nonsense she's been saying about Catholicism, right? But she's not. She's out here just dissing her own religion that she's supposedly a part of, marginalizing it, and then talking about, well, I'm Catholic. Don't worry. I know what I'm talking about. Listen to me, okay? I'm Catholic. This is what you Catholics do. And it's like, here's a Catholic guy saying, no, that's not what we do. You're marginalizing us because our rates are a lot different. No. But Michael, trust me, I'm Catholic. What? Bitch, you ain't Catholic, bro. Stop it. You maybe have born or raised Catholic, but I don't believe you go to church every Sunday. Matter of fact, I don't think you even follow some of the customs that they do. Okay, you're just culturally Catholic. We'll just call it that.
One girl I interviewed, she was from Latin Mass, like one of those communities, and she had horrible parental alienation. I mean, her mother. There's a whole book that it's called "How to Destroy a Man." And it lays out the framework exactly for how women can legally destroy a man, take his assets, take his children, and ruin his reputation.
I wouldn't recommend
this is
reading
a step.
it.
This is a step. No, I've read it. No, I'm not for that. But it's like a step-by-step guide. And this mother did it. And this was in a Latin Mass, like Orthodox community. And that's why I say,
because of
it's all anecdotal. At the end of the day, so you can know this Latin Mass person that did whatever, and then it still didn't work out for him. It doesn't matter. It's still your personal experience. The fuck?
Terms are sort of ambiguous and contradictory even in this case. So I'd be curious to see the actual case.
Well, I guess what I would say is sometimes women have feelings about religion.
Whoa. Don't move the goalpost now. He wants to see the case number. Can you just tell us what the case is so we can talk about that? Now she's moving into another thing. What is the case?
22, and at 42 they changed, and there's no consequence for women leaving right now.
People change their minds at any given time.
Correct, but in fact they're paid to do so.
What?
And so I will never shame men for making a decision that's right for them.
But you're going further than not shaming them.
She's not holding men accountable at all. She's going too far. This is what I'm saying. She hates women, bro. At this point, Yo, ladies, you can't deny this anymore. She doesn't like women. I don't know what it is, bro. There's something about women, even though she's a woman, she just hates women. I don't get it. Like, it's obvious now at this point, right? I mean, it seems obvious to me. She's making such an excuse for the men that all of a sudden men don't have accountability when it comes to, raising a child or even getting married anymore. Men shouldn't, because the laws are favoring the women, so it's the women's fault. This is tough. Can we get a timestamp, please?
I think we've gotten to the point where you've said it's at least a good strategy to walk away from the institution of marriage until the laws have changed. You just said that.
I say, do whatever you want, guys.
No, Pearl, you said men should not get married until the laws have changed. Now she's backpedaling, guys.
But no, I
said to me.
I said, regardless of what I say, men will walk away.
So let's establish men.
No, time out. No, that's not what she said. She said she doesn't think men should get married until the laws have changed. Michael, you're not crazy. That's exactly what she said. But now that you're trying to pin her to a point, she doesn't want to be pinned down. Like a good left or liberal woman she is, okay? She wants to be free and not be pinned down or tied down to any accountability on the shit that she says, right? Again, this is too much. This is way too much, bro. It's obvious what she's doing.
Won't listen to Pearl, as you just said. Let's establish that you think men ought to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
We've long established.
Mm-hmm.
You also just said it is a good strategy for men to walk away from the institution of marriage until the laws change. You just said that.
No, I was talking about the vote.
Stop.
They should walk away.
Stop. You said that. I don't even want to go back into this mess on what she said. Maybe I should, but it'd be too much of a guessing game. She said that for sure, though. We're not lying. She definitely said that. Ain't no fucking way.
From
the voting,
the ballot box.
That was the ballot box.
Until the I said. So at the very least, we've.
I said that's a strategy that men can do.
A good strategy,
but
it's not just a bad strategy.
I mean, how else? I mean, what have conservatives succeeded in conserving the last 50 years?
Yo, what? Hey, yo. I was not ready for that pivot. She going after conservatives now? Hey, okay, this is weird, but I strangely agree with Pearl. Listen, she's got to... I know she's being a contrarian, but she just hit on a point that we've been talking about this entire time. What is conservatism doing? Like, what has it ever done for the past 50 years? Nothing. Not a matter of fact, it's getting hard to distinguish someone who's conservative than a liberal, if anything else. I'm thinking these guys are all the same, right? The same size, same coin. That's pretty much what it is, right? But I mean, that's a factual question. The reason why it's shocking to me is that she's supposed to be cool with the conservatives, chat. This is what I'm telling you. Even when she debates conservatives and they're supposed to be aligned, you can see the clear differences between an alt-right and a normal conservative. This is what I'm saying. This is crazy she said that, bro. That's wild.
Not so much as the women's bathroom, I guess.
but so you're asking them to get on a team that's losing.
Right. I mean, that's...
You know what she reminds me of? She's Candace Owens. Because I don't believe Candace Owens is a real conservative either. I don't think so. She's making liberal arguments right now as we speak, chat. She's not advocating for marriages. She's not advocating for guys to have kids. She's not advocating any of that, right? Until the law changes, right? So, okay, fine. But you sound pretty liberal in disguise to me, girl. You sound like a Candace Owens. I'm not surprised.
Conservatives succeeded in conserving the last 50 years.
Not so much as the women's bathroom, I guess.
but
start off for the timestamp, Great Pill. We're about to skip to that as soon as she's done with this point.
You're asking them to get on a team that's losing.
Right. I mean, that's what Whittaker Chambers said when he left being a communist to become a conservative.
Right.
He thought he was joining the losing team. Maybe that's the case. I mean, in the long run, we're all dead and the world's going to fall to pot and then the second coming will occur. But that's not an excuse to avoid doing what is just and good and right and in line with our natural desires.
But it's not unjust for men to not want to have children.
It's disorder.
Okay, but listen, I agree. All right, if men should have the choice, they don't want to have the kids. They don't want to. I don't think the economy. Listen, if you can afford a kid, maybe you shouldn't have a kid, right? But that's not the real world, because sometimes people who don't know, who can't afford kids, often have the most kids, right? Which is fine, right? But it seems as though, chat, from my perspective, she's advocating for men to be sterile. Right? That's what it seems like to me. She's advocating for men to be sterile, right? Because a good conservative woman would be wanting to bring men back to the table. That's the whole point of being a conservative, right? To bring men back to the table. But Pearl doesn't want men back at the table. She wants men to stay away from the table. Don't even get married. Don't even have kids. Interesting. I don't think she's a conservative, guys. I'm going to just tell you right now. Nothing about her strikes me as a conservative. This is all liberal talking. She sounds like Royal Tomasi. Royal Tomasi was saying that if you want to be high value, get a vasectomy. Yeah, snip your balls off. That's right. Snip your balls off while you're in your 20s, okay? So you can chase the dream of making money. And then, maybe once you've made all your money, chicks will come, and then you can reattach your balls and be a full man instead of a half creature walking around here. Whatever you want to call it. Listen. We can laugh at it all day long. Don't snip your balls if you're in your 20s, okay? The reversible trend that they're trying to make it seem like it's so easy. It's like a quick procedure. You just get it snipped off and they'll reverse it. Oftentimes, when they reverse it, you can still be sterile. Sometimes these changes are permanent. And the longer you go while you're in your youth, being sterilized, clip, the harder it is for you to have kids when you decide to reattach, your balls. So I don't care what these pill poppers are telling you. I don't think it's worth it, doing something like sterilizing yourself in your mid-20s. It doesn't make any sense, okay? If you end up having kids because you were too sexually active, okay, take care of your kids. It is what it is. All right. I mean, I'm not advocating to get an abortion. I take care of my kid. I love my daughter, right? But again, I'm not advocating for that. If you want to take the responsibility, then take the responsibility, because it takes two to tango at the end of the day, right? But to snip your balls off and then act like, it's going to be reattached later with no consequences. These guys are leading you down a path that's crazy. And remember, I told you earlier, life is about fulfillment. And how do you get fulfillment? Is by giving back. It can be to a stranger, or it can be to the next generation that you create. It's up to you. All right. You can do a lot giving back to your kids, right? Building what you can in this world so you can leave it up to them in a better shape so they could take over. And that's the problem that a lot of these boomers that complain about young generations, they don't understand. They fail to leave this world in a better position for the generation coming after them. All right. Just because they failed doesn't mean we have to continue the trend of that failure. Maybe giving back is to give back the most we could to our children. Good values, good ideas, good morals, whatever it is, right? And not saying that religion has to be a big part of it, but oftentimes you really don't. Unless you have a good moral compass, you can teach good morals. All right, it's just giving back and helping people, whether it's to your family or whether it's to complete strangers. I mean, you get more fulfillment even when it's complete strangers. But again, that's the whole point. You're not going to stop that trend for men. It's not going to happen. All right, men are going to have kids. Don't snip your balls off. And if you do end up having kids, instill as much knowledge and morals as you can to them so they can come into society better than the previous generation.
Disordered for men not
We
to.
have priests.
Yeah. Clerical life. Some
Yeah.
are called by the charism of celibacy,
Mhm.
but for most men, and by the way, they're called to the charism of celibacy in the priesthood because the priests act in the person of Christ, who is the bridegroom of the church. But for people who are not following a religious vocation, they are called to family life.
Okay, if there are not enough wives, what are men supposed to do?
It's about 50-50 in the population.
If there are not enough wives, what are men supposed to do?
There is basically parity between men and women. So there are enough wives.
Yeah, where are you getting that information? There are not enough wives. Where's that info coming from? Is it based off your no tattoos, a single mom, and overweight nonsense you've been spewing out there? Because we've already established that's not true. So how are you getting this idea that there are not enough women out there to marry? What's going on? Pearl, shout out to you. I'm sure not Pearl. Lay, shout out to you for the chat. My mind's going crazy. I'm gonna skip to this timestamp right now. I just called Lay Pearl, bro. Big L on my part. Big L on my part. I can't, bro. My mind is getting twisted. Lay, shout out to you for the timestamp. Let me go ahead and shift to that. We'll go a couple minutes beforehand. Let's do 120. All right, let's do the build up to it. But shout out to you. My goodness, bro. I can't believe I'm too invested in this right now. I'm way too invested.
It was crazy. She she tells me that like God, it's just such a crazy story. They literally like figure out where there's like a, what do you call it? A hangout, I guess, after games where the athletes all go and the wives aren't there. And there are women that go there and try to get men to cheat on their wives.
Groupies. They're like groupies.
Yeah. Yeah, but my point is there are far more women responsible for hookup culture than men. But yet, when I go on podcasts, we always somehow bring the conversation back to the men.
Because when women have sex, when they're hooking up, it's with a man. So it's not the women having sex by themselves. It's promiscuous women who are having sex with promiscuous men. Why we got to single out the women? Why we single out the women, bro? That doesn't make any sense. They're having sex. It's not like the women are having a bunch of sex by themselves or with other women. It's not like we have an epidemic of women out here cheating on men en masse with other women. That's not a thing that's happening. It's oftentimes with other men. So what do? We talk about the cheating that's happening with the men, and we need to hold those men accountable, right? We need to make sure that those men are better men and they lead better lives. Hey, if she's married, that's a no-go, bruh. That's a no-go. Don't fuck with married women. Now, my rule's a little bit different. If, boyfriend and girlfriend, fine. Okay, whatever. But if they're married, you stay away from that shit. All right, that's a covenant you can't break. Like, I'm telling you all right now, do not fuck with married women. It's only bro, you can lose your life messing with that shit.
Even though far more.
Stop it, okay? But again, letting you know right now, what you're saying, it doesn't have bearing, Pearl. None of that. Like, I don't like, where is she getting these stuff from, bro? Like, how do you even know this?
Women are engaging in it.
This is, I guess,
and we can't even definitively say don't date a woman that did sex work.
I find this kind of utilitarian view of responsibility actually kind of delightful when you say, look, there's 5 women who are doing it. Though I think it does cut the other way because each of these total Sigma Chad dudes are sleeping with like 5 women each. So I think either way it kind of cuts. But that's not really my question at all. My question is, don't men have a moral responsibility to act in a certain way?
Men cannot lead women that don't want to be led. Yes,
then,
yes,
hold on,
yes,
that,
yes. Wait, I'm gonna
yes,
finish.
okay.
Let me finish, Mike.
Okay, I was trying to lead you.
Sorry. No. I do think men have a moral responsibility to act in a certain way. Yes.
Okay, so then why are we holding those men who are being promiscuous and not living according to your biblical standards accountable? Why are you just putting the blame on women like the men aren't seeking that out? If there was no demand, there wouldn't be a market, Pearl. I don't know economics much, right?
Great.
Yeah.
Well, there you
But
have
I don't think men have to get married if there are not enough wives to go around.
But
it's like it doesn't.
If there are not enough women who you say are marriageable.
You know what's so crazy?
What?
Under the age of 35.
Yeah.
Now the problem is with a lot of these. I know we're gonna go back.
Statistics are all fake, but I'm happy to hear them.
Well, I believe it too, just from interviewing 1,000 women.
Sure.
5 to 15% of women under 35 are on full OnlyFans, cam, or some sort of sex work. According, there's a guy who does research for me. Really,
is this blessings? Is this blessings we're talking about? Nigga, is that you? No, that's not a credible source, honey. I'm sorry. I need to know where the names of the studies you're quoting here, honey. You can't just sit there and say, oh, well, there's this guy who's done research for me, so I'm just going to quote you these baseless statistics to bolster my point. No, you need to cite your sources, honey. I don't know what you're talking about. Who is this guy that does researches for you? Because it seems like he just compiles a bunch of bro science and says, hey, Pearl, yeah, take this out there and see what you do. What is this? Who are these people? What are these? Cite your sources.
Really, okay. Dr. David Baker, he's like a published author, really smart guy.
That seems high to me.
That's what I thought too. I swear to God, that's what I thought. Until I interviewed 1,000 women. I can't even count how many sex workers I've met.
But don't you think the kind of women?
No.
You don't think the kind of women who go on like
not at all.
Relationship podcasts are kind of self-selecting?
No.
Don't you think the trad women just don't go on camera?
Facts.
That's been my experience.
No.
I think girls I'm dating right now wouldn't dare show up even on a show I'm doing right now, they'll just sit right over there. They sit right over there. Oh, are you done? Or they'll be like, I'm still going, right? They don't want to be on camera. I'm telling you, the people that want to be on camera are a different breed of people, right? Especially on camera where they're open about their sexual past and they're open about talking what they want to talk about, right? Those aren't a good sample size for your study, Pearl. I'm sorry. It's not a good sample size. Saying I spoke to 1,000 OnlyFans models and they were telling me this is the kind of guys they want to deal with, that's not a legitimate sample size. I'm sorry. That's not how that works. And then you saying, well, I know the numbers seemed a little high to me too, but me interviewing these girls, it kind of makes sense. No, not all. Listen, y'all are trying to make it seem like a lot of women out there, just every woman out there got an OnlyFans. That's what y'all making it out to seem. That's essentially the fear mongering they want out there to make it seem like, hey, man, majority of women you run into, they probably got an OnlyFans. And it's not true. That's not it at all, bro. It's not 5 to 15%. That's such a high number. It's crazy. No, it's actually lower than that. And the women that make a boatload of money from that percentage is even lower. It's like 1%. It's not even like 0.01% even, right? And those are few and far between. Like, what is she talking about? Cite your sources.
No, I think that.
No,
I think
I would say when you do 1,000, not do, but when you interview 1,000 women, you just start to see patterns. I've had Christian women on. I've had women from Eastern Europe. I've had women. We don't select.
Eastern Europe is like the hotbed of pornography in the world.
Facts.
Well, I mean,
that's where a bunch of cam businesses are based out of. Wasn't your friend Andrew Tate in Eastern Europe? Wait a minute. Come to think about it. Yeah, he was. Then he run a massive camming business out of Eastern Europe. Sounds like that's what Andrew Tate did. Matter of fact, it seemed like his business boomed the moment he moved to Eastern Europe, Romania. Huh? Pearl, you're not making sense here. Yo, Lay with the 2 shots. He says, does women include minor girls, Pearl? Yeah, like we all know, people like this, you got to watch them. I won't be surprised if she hates women but loves minors, right? Because, these people like to manipulate kids. So I don't know. Yeah, it is weird. She might be low-key be a pedo too, allegedly, but we don't know. Just what a complete dunce. Just look at her. Just look at her.
I could say Japan. I could keep going. I'm in London.
Please keep going. We want you to cite your sources.
London, so it's pretty international.
I guess my only point is women who go on shows to be interviewed tend to be a little less trad than the women who stay home and bake bread.
Facts.
You know a lot of women under the age of 30.
It doesn't matter, Pearl. It doesn't matter, Pearl. The women who decide to go on your show with 1 million+ subs, they probably want something else. It's usually clout because they're used to it. They're not indicative of traditional women. Again, this is what we try. This is what we trying to tell people. We're trying to distinguish between what's real and what's not. These guys try to make it seem as though these women, normal women, no, this is what they do. They all on OnlyFans. No. The women you invite, your sample size, are the ones that are more inclined to do that, especially the ones that are willing to fly to Miami, LA, Seattle, Chicago, these big media markets where there are lots of opportunities in showbiz, okay? Those are the women that are more than likely engaging in behaviors you guys rail against. So what's the problem?
Yeah.
Or staying home and baking bread.
I do.
I think that it's, again, as I've said, you guys are a bit out of touch to what the average man is experiencing dating in this country.
Or are we just in touch with a different group of people? I guess is my point. You're right. When one surrounds oneself with people who are divorced or with people who are on OnlyFans or whatever, then it kind of skews where you would find the median or the average. But if you spend your time in like the middle of America with like in nice parishes.
Well, you just contradicted yourself because
Pearl, that's what you're doing. You spend all these times interviewing OnlyFans girls and women who are city girls practically. You're not spending time in actual, middle of bumfuck Kansas talking to random women out in the country on a farm. They have different values than the women you're interviewing or inviting to your show. That's what he's trying to say. You are who you hang out with. That's what I'm telling you. These guys don't go outside. Their idea of what women are the people that they see around them. Their friends, Fresh and Fit, whatever podcast. Those are their ideas of women. They don't know women at the end of the day. She doesn't know even what a woman is. You ask her, hey, Pearl, what's a woman? She can't answer the question. she's probably confused herself. She probably doesn't even think she's a woman. I'm just being real with you. The way she talks shit about women, you wouldn't believe Pearl is a woman. You think Pearl's a Paul. I'm just being real with y'all. Like, ain't no way.
Earlier, you said that you had close friends that were divorced.
I do.
So
but it's not the average.
Even in your circles, you still.
Well, I'm from New York and I lived in LA, so I wasn't always
Right, but that's why sometimes I'm like, do you not see reality? Like, do you guys not?
Oh, she's asked them, do you not see reality? Oh, how okay? We're about to hit that time stat mark. Okay, good. I don't know how much I can do this, bro. I don't know.
See what's going on out here.
Yeah,
and
I agree
religious
that
attendance in the younger generation, it's going down slower than ever.
Yeah, sure. Though again, you kind of got to get a little bit more
She's
specific about it
all over
because
the place too.
the people. First of all, there is a movement of young people going back to churches, and they're going back to the more orthodox ones. They're not going to the hippy dippy egalitarian feminists.
Yeah.
So again, this is why I find the statistical arguments to be kind of fruitless. Which is,
I disagree with him. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you this. I think a lot more young people are going to churches that kind of reflects what they got going on. Like, I'm gonna agree with you. I got invited to a church by one of my friends, and she was like, yo, because I thought, because I'm like, yo, I don't want to, she's like, yo, come in. It's completely different. It's not like what you're used to at a typical Catholic church. 'Cause I used to go to a Catholic church here in Madison, right? And all of a sudden, when I went there, bro, it was different. Right? You know how, in the normal church, I don't know some of y'all who've been to a Catholic church, right? You go in there, you stand up, you sit down, you kneel down. There's a certain order to it, and then you do communion, and then you say certain prayers and whatnot. But when I went to that church, it was completely different. First of all, it was a bunch of young people there, right? They didn't have like a, that rule where, okay, you gotta take your hat down and put your hoodie down. There were people with their hoodies up, and people were wearing beanies and things like that. There were people who were super casual. It was just like, but like even the preacher, just a young guy, black dude too, real cool brother, right? Came in there and he was preaching from his perspective and things like that. But he kind of tied it to what's going on today, right? And I was like, okay, I see what's going on here. And it was a bunch of young faces, lots of younger people, and I could understand why some of these more orthodox churches don't attract that crowd, because it's literally two different types of generations right there, right? So I don't know what he's talking about, but and again, I'm using anecdotal experience, so maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? And I'd like to see his stats on young people going back to Orthodox churches or traditional Catholic churches, because I think there are younger churches popping up by younger and younger preachers, right? And they're out there saying things and doing things, and they're attracting a younger crowd, and I think that's a good thing. Is it a good thing for me? No, because I don't care, but it's just one of those things to get that experience of, right? So yeah, it was a while ago since I've been there, but yeah, I remember. No, younger people, they got their own thing going on, bro. And that church was on TikTok. That's how a bunch of people found them, was on TikTok. So yeah, they're really good on social media. My original church I used to go through, the real traditional one, social media, what? The best they'll do is a basic website. That's it. Facebook, maybe. It's not like that, bro.
Okay, when we say something is natural, we mean it in two ways, right? We mean it in it deriving from the principles of nature, like a tree sprouts from the ground, and we mean it in a way that involves free will. Like you can make a natural choice or an unnatural choice. And so I guess what I'm suggesting is, we live at a time that is exalting really unnatural and disordered behaviors, especially in the circles you're talking about. And I'm suggesting maybe we ought to focus on these circles that are growing in a lot of places where there is a return toward reasonable behavior.
What about what Glenn was talking about earlier when he was talking about what verses were they? So Proverbs
31.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For those who can't hear without the microphone,
okay.
That a virtuous woman is rarer than the finest rubies.
Yeah. But that would, even in the Bible, it implies that it's an exception, not the rule.
Sure. And also the Bible says, be fruitful and multiply. And, our Lord says in the Gospel of St. Matthew, what man has joined, let no man separate.
Right. But when
And he describes it as
when
the
a
bride.
quarter of women are getting abortions, it's
Hey, Pearl, I'm sorry, bro. If he's quoting scripture without even having to use a producer to tell him what it means, you're not going to win this argument. Like the moment he just quoted, I'm like, you got it, bro. You got. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. I just thought I could win that argument. That's what you should be doing right now. You're not winning this, bro. He clearly knows about scripture more than you do.
it's the women that aren't going along with this.
But what is your point? You're
Again,
saying you're citing the Bible to say people ought not to get married, but
I'm not saying not to get married. I'm saying
That's
it's
what you're
incredibly difficult for a man to find a woman worthy of being a wife in the current climate.
What do you think virtue is?
What do I think? You brought up the terms.
No, you brought it up. You're the one who said.
Know what virtue means. This is what I'm talking about. These morality police tarts. I'm telling you right now. You want people to be virtuous. You don't even know what the fuck it means, bro. What does it mean, Pearl?
You said.
No, I don't use that word.
You
Virtue.
brought up the proverb. You had him bring up the proverb, and he quoted it. It's a virtuous woman, right? That. What is she saying, bro?
You just mentioned.
You
brought up the line of Proverbs as a virtuous woman.
Glenn brought up but yeah.
And then you brought up Glenn. So what? So I mean, I just think there's a misunderstanding here.
He's confused too, just as I am. Like, how do you bring up a proverb, have your producer look it up, and it's talking about a virtuous woman who are rare, and then you're over here saying, "Well, I don't know what you brought up the thing virtuous. You brought up virtuous woman. Yeah, when he asked you what virtuous means, well, I don't know. You brought it up. No, Pearl, you brought it up. So did you even know what scripture you were quoting? Or did you just thought, yeah, you know what? This scripture may aid me in my talking point. And it backfired insanely. Like, what is this?
Here, because virtue is not something that's static.
Mm-hmm.
Virtue is a habit. So you cultivate virtues and you cultivate vices and their habits. It's like drugs, that would be a vicious habit.
But shouldn't men marry women with good habits and good virtue?
But the way a habit works is it's not static in time.
Right.
It is something that continues and
Right,
changes.
but with
meaning, Pearl, people change. People aren't the same as they were before. Okay, habits is not a static thing. You're not who you were before. You're literally something different. Matter of fact, even down to the atomic level, you've probably changed over. What is it? Your atoms rearrange every 7 years. Literally, you are a new person every 7 years. Let's just be real, bro. Nothing's static. Everything is always moving. That's life. If it's static, it's dead. That's just, it is what it is. Nothing can stay static because you will die. That's what being alive is. We are fighting. We're literally, us by definition being alive, we are fighting against the norm, which is out there. It's nothing but death. Like, that's what it is. Why do you think we can look for thousands, billions of miles and light years out there, right? And we can't find one being that we can reflect that resembles intelligent life, right? We can't find that because life is rare. It's fighting against the grain. It's fighting against the norm. We are anomalies. Okay. Matter of fact, we might fuck around and create aliens billions of years in the future if we ever get to that point. Okay. But that's just what it is, bro. Like, again, I don't think Pearl gets it.
But with how unfair the laws are to men, again, don't you think men should be extremely selective? I question if
I'm not saying that men ought to throw a stick out the window and marry the first woman.
I mean, you said an ex-OnlyFans model. That's basically the equivalent.
I said that. No, I don't think so. I mean, basically,
come on, an ex-only. That's like I can't think of anyone. I don't think anyone. I can't think of anyone worse for my. I don't know how you can't definitively say no to that.
Well, Khalifa got more marriage proposals and has more marriages than you, Pearl, before you turn 30. And she's a well-known porn star. There's still dudes out there trying to marry her. Matter of fact, the only reason why they got divorced is because people would literally troll her husband or a fiance with like porn videos of her getting smacked by that big BC, right? That's just what it is. And obviously, I mean, if you're a popular person and people are continuously sending you clips of your wife getting smashed by a BBC, at some point it wears on you, right? But still, these women still find husbands. Yet, Pearl, look at what you're doing. You can't even find yourself a boyfriend. I mean, what does that say?
Because a man, like
because
someone that I loved, and he was looking for a wife, like my brother. And he said, well, I found this girl in church that used to do OnlyFans. I'd say, oh, please, no, anyone else.
yeah. I guess the
Please,
point,
God, you wouldn't want your son, you have sons, right?
I do.
You wouldn't want them to date an ex-OnlyFans model.
Yeah.
You would want them to be really selective, especially
Sure.
with what's going up against them.
I guess the point I'm making is that no one is beyond redemption. And it seems to me you're saying people are beyond redemption.
No, I'm saying that men don't have to forgive your sin, and actions have consequences. And when we tell women,
but no one's denying it'll be harder for an ex-OnlyFans.
No one should forgive your sin. What are you, God? You don't have the right to forgive anybody's sins. If she fucked up in the past, that's between her and her maker. You're not the judge. No one here is the judge because no man is perfect. What the fuck are you talking about? You're not here to judge. See, that's the problem. Y'all judge too much. Why are you judging? You're not God. What do you mean her sins? Who the fuck are you to judge her sins, huh? What are we talking about here? This is crazy just hearing this.
Person to get married. No one's denying it.
Pretty much impossible, I would say.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah, but yeah.
I know ex pornographers who have gotten married. But
well.
So it's not impossible, but it's harder. It adds a lot of challenges.
Right.
But I recommend people not do bad things.
Yeah, correct. But what we often, and I saw this, even in the chastity speakers. I'm sure you know him actually. That Jason and Christiana Everett.
I don't.
Really?
Don't.
It's like the #1 chastity. Whenever you would have,
I don't go to a lot of chastity. I'm already married. I'm not. I'm chaste. I'm not celibate.
Well, they would have them like come to our high school, and whatever sin the woman always did, it was always blamed upon the man. Always, like it's always if she
in the sense
slept
that
around. If she slept around, it wasn't because she wanted to. It was because she was being used. You see the difference?
Well, there is a distinction here, which is that women are the weaker sex, so men bear greater responsibility. Eve eats the apple, but all man sins in Adam.
But how is a man responsible for women doing OnlyFans? That's a choice. That's what I think we should.
Men are the consumers in the case of OnlyFans, right?
Yeah, but
so they do bear some responsibility.
Well, I mean, even they have to post it before there's any consumers.
No, the reason they post is because there's a market.
Not really.
What? You see what I mean? She's not holding men accountable. He's right. When women post on OnlyFans, is because they're men on the other end of the deal. All right, they are the demand, and women are the market. Oh no, they are the demand, and women are supplying the market. That's it. So you say no, it's independent of men. Women just want to do it. That's it. It doesn't matter if men want it. Women just want to do it because, women are just so devious and sexually weird that they just want to post their naked bodies all over the place. No, if men didn't care, women wouldn't post. Trust me. But men do because they love seeing that shit. Again, this is what we're talking about. She's removing accountability from men and just dumping it on the women. It's the men signing up for these accounts that are the problem. If you want to curb the behavior and you want to fix it, then hold the men accountable. But none of you red pillars want to do that because it's harder holding these men accountable that don't want to be led accountable. That's why they stand around and they don't grow up. They're little boys because they don't want to be held responsible and finally be a man for once. Because being a man means taking responsibility. And these men that are on here, they don't want responsibility. They want mamas. They want mamas who can occasionally fuck them and clean up after them. That's it. You want them to be held responsible? Nah. Now you're asking for trouble and they're not going to like and subscribe to your channel. Anybody that speaks out against that, they'll call them a hater. But all we're trying to do is say, hey, men, this is kind of a problem we created. We need to fix it. Oh, what? What do you mean? Come on. Well, it's clearly the women's fault. Pearl, wake up. Stop this. This is getting insane. I mean, this is really getting insane. M. Dot with the 5. Shout out to M. Dot. M. Dot says, why is she using Bible verses when she's not a practicing Catholic? Facts. And we're seeing her fail extremely hard at it, too. This is what I'm saying. Again, these people will use Bible verses to bolster any bullshit point they got. Jenna G with the super chat. Shout out to Jenna G. Jenna G says, all of OnlyFans is 2 million worldwide. Facts. And the population of the U.S. is 300 million. How can 5% of women be on OnlyFans? Facts. And 5% of 300 million, that's not even 2 million. That's like that's like 100 and hold up. What is 5% of 3 million? Yeah. Hold up. That's about 150. It's about 15 million. My bad. That's 15 million women. 15 million women. That'd be 5%. So where the numbers coming from? If 2 million people are on OnlyFans, 2 million women who are content creators on OnlyFans, then how can 5% of Americans, women, be on OnlyFans? That means there should be 15 million women signed up right now if her numbers bear it out. There should be 15 women on OnlyFans giving out the goods, but no, there's only 2 million. Again, you just got to look at these numbers. These guys, it just doesn't make any sense. These guys like to make assumptions, right? And you say, well, it's worldwide. No, because those numbers don't even bear out at the end of the day. It's much, 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 much lower than that. And the amount of women making millions of dollars or six figures even out of that number is even smaller. So again, this is why we got to look at the facts instead of the anecdotal experience these people bring up.
You know what the average?
We're getting back to the chicken and the egg.
No. Do you know what the average OnlyFans model makes? It is
Nothing,
not about money.
But they're duped. But why do they get on?
OnlyFans model. What is the average OnlyFans model salary? Let us know, because it's not what you think it is.
They want attention. You know, there's women on podcasts, and you see them. They say they'll do it for free. They want attention.
Right, but
women will. I think you were on a show, right?
On whatever.
Yeah, didn't see that girl say that she would do it even without the money?
Maybe.
Or even if
some of what they say gets a little blurry.
Let's go outside. You know, let's walk.
Yeah.
So I went to Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, the women are walking around with the stickers on their boobs. No man made them do that.
So what? So if a man decides to choose that woman that got stickers on her titties and marries her, and then she ends up divorcing him and taking half the shit, whose fault is it? The woman or the guy? What is the point? What do you the women who dress in bikinis all the time, even when it's cold, they got loose clothes on. So what? Why are they doing it though? They want the attention of the man, right? They want the man to look at them and say, oh, mama, I like what you got going on. And they want the man to holler. That's the whole point. So you was trying to deny that women just want to be, they just want to dress like that and act like that because they don't want attention. They just love doing it because they're just sexual deviants. No, they want attention from somebody. And it's oftentimes men. And most of the time, it's probably other women too. But we don't know.
Little pasties.
Yeah,
but right. But why are they doing it? You're saying again. I'm saying
they like the attention. They know it'll attract attention.
Right. So
attention from who? Men, right? Pearl, finish your statement.
I'm not saying that women aren't culpable when they do bad things, but what I'm saying is that men share some of this culpability because they're the ones consuming it.
No, I think everyone's responsible for their own choices. And
and men choose to consume OnlyFans girls. They need to be held responsible, Pearl.
I think that includes women, and the more we coddle women and say, oh, you poor thing, it was the men. Oh, you were lied to by feminism. Oh, everything's everyone else's fault. That's why you have these women at 35 that act like entitled brats.
No, but but I guess this is why I'm suggesting that like the view I'm articulating.
You might get a husband after OnlyFans.
No one's suggesting that would be particularly easy.
Right.
But I guess the reason I'm suggesting what would be probably the conservative or traditional or Christian view of marriage and the sexes. And the reason that I'm describing yours, and I take it the red pill's view of marriage and the sexes as being liberal and individualist and feminist is because of, well, what you just said. You said everyone is totally responsible for their own choices. And that
do you think people aren't responsible for their own choices?
I think that our wills are conditioned by our environments and our education and public life because we're a social creature who lives in community with others.
So how do you explain people making completely different choices in the exact? I know siblings. I know siblings where one ends up doing one. I mean, come on,
right?
With like you have a couple kids, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, they're different.
2.5. I suppose. So one on the way.
Yeah. Oh, congrats.
Thank you.
People are different and they make different choices.
So are you saying people aren't conditioned in their will by their environments? That's what an extreme liberal would say, and maybe that's what you believe.
I know. She's an undercover libtard trying to act like she's a conservative. A lot of these people who are infiltrated into these red pill spaces, they're actually liberals, bro. That's what I'm saying. She sounds like a fucking liberal or lefty or whatever you want to call it, but she's not conservative. I'm going to tell you that right now. She's everything else, but conservative ain't one of them.
But I don't believe
No, I think, I don't really know what that means, but
Of course she doesn't know what the fuck it means.
Meaning, are we affected? If you grow up in a really bad community where you're taught all sorts of bad things, where you're introduced to drugs and porn and gluttony and just all this nasty stuff early on, are you more likely to fall into bad vices and habits and temptations?
You're more likely, but you're still responsible for your decisions. You are 100% responsible for the choices that you make.
Sure.
If a man chooses, there are men that grow up in bad environments that choose to be millionaires, and there's others that choose to be drug dealers.
And there's some who choose to be millionaires and fail.
Yeah.
So there's what you seem to be describing is a real primacy of the will, of the individual will. And I'm saying that free will obviously exists, but it's conditioned by other factors. Why?
An environment can definitely break a man's will. Environment, if you're raised in the worst neighborhoods, or the worst, I mean, even just thinking about people back home in Nigeria, all right, and the kind of craziness and grimy shit they have to get down because there's no food in the country, there's no money in the country, okay? You can't just sit there and say, oh, yeah, these people are responsible for their actions. Yeah, they are responsible for stealing. Yeah, they are responsible for doing that, but their environment forced them into that situation. These are people who, some of them have great degrees, but they can't find work, and they have to feed their family somehow. So the environment, because the country's so fucked up, they have to be forced to do all this grimy, low criminal type shit because that's what it's forcing them to do, right? Again, you sitting there saying they're responsible, fine, but we can't negate factors that contributed to that. It's ignorant to just do that.
Why is it that marriage is collapsing? Is it because everyone just of their own free will, just totally absent environmental concerns?
Because women want to leave. Because when women got the choice.
What is this? Why do you hate? So it's just the divorces happen because women just want to leave. That's your opinion on this? Yeah, women just want to leave. I mean, those damn women. I mean, think about it. That's why we have all the divorce issues. It's not like, the men were culpable in this. No, it's just people get divorced because women just feel like we're leaving. I mean, that's what it is. Maybe we should just stop women from leaving divorces. Pearl, stop. You're not making any sense, girl.
Choice to get money instead of have a father in the home. Right. Women have chosen to take the money.
I think you've just proven my point, though.
Yeah.
Even if what you just said is true, you're saying that a political and social condition changed the way that human beings, that women exercise their free will.
It changed the incentives, but that didn't mean women had to take it.
But it changed the way they exercise their will.
But it's not the government's fault. It's women's fault for making that choice.
Right.
It's not society's fault. It's women's fault. It's the person's fault for making. Everybody is responsible for their.
But had the social condition and the law not changed, women would not have made those choices. You
would be surprised, actually.
I thought that's what you just said.
If the social conditions didn't change, and women, now you're saying, oh no, but women will still make that choice, right? You'd be surprised. You're just being a contrarian at this point. You're like, she doesn't even realize she's arguing for both sides just to not agree with him. Like, you guys are on the same point.
Not have made those choices. You
would be surprised, actually.
On that, check.
But it changed the way they exercise the condition. Changed the way that human beings, that women exercise their free will.
It changed the incentives, but that didn't mean women had to take it.
But it changed the way they exercise their will.
But it's not the government's fault. It's women's fault for making that choice.
Right.
It's not society's fault. It's women's fault. It's the person's fault for making. Everybody is responsible for their.
But had the social condition and the law not changed, women would not have made those choices. You
would be surprised, actually.
I thought that's what you just said. I thought you just said that the reason.
No, the majority. Yeah. No, I didn't say the reason. I said it was because women.
It started
wanted
that.
To. No, I said it was because women wanted to.
No,
women wanted to.
Women have.
And it just coincidentally, they all of a sudden decided they wanted to when the law changed.
Women chose. Well, they wanted to before that. I mean, they fought for 50 years for abortion. So I'm saying when people.
What is he saying?
We could go back and forth about what I want to do, what you want to do. All I look is at what people do.
No, I'm not.
So.
Chat, I can't do this, bro. Like she out here playing Dance Revolution mixed with Twister. You're not making any sense. Your logical pathways are leading to nowhere. I don't even know what you're even trying to get at, girl. 1 minute you're arguing for this, next minute you're arguing against it. What is it, bro?
I'm not talking about your individual desires at all. I'm talking about desire itself and the relation of desire to. You seem to be saying that people exercise their free will in something like a vacuum, and therefore they bear all of the moral responsibility. And I'm saying that we're a social creature and there's more to it than that.
I'm just confused. Do you think you're responsible for the choices you make?
I think I am a moral agent, and I bear moral responsibility, and that my ability to exercise my will is conditioned by my environment, by
Okay,
the
so you
laws
think
and the
the
customs
you
and
think
the
the
community.
environment's responsible for the choices you make?
No, that's not what I said. I said I'm a moral agent, and I'm responsible for my
Okay, so you are
actions.
responsible.
But my free will, my ability to exercise my will, is conditioned by the laws and the customs and the community in which I live, which is why it's not merely an individual question, but it's also a political question for human beings who are the political.
Versus, we don't sit there and blame the Kennedys, right? The Kennedys family, right? Because we know their father was heavily involved with bootlegging. So we know that back then when prohibition was enacted, okay, a lot of people use that as a means to get money, to get rich. The Kennedys were huge in prohibitions, right? And they were going in and they were bootleggers. They were huge bootleggers, right? And some of that influence and money was used to get his son or his kids in to the office of presidency, right? So now you can say, does that mean that John Kennedy's dad was a bad guy because then he essentially sold illegal drugs, which were alcohol, to get rich, right? Yeah, technically he was a bad guy. I mean, but his environment caused him to do that, right? Would he have otherwise owned a bunch of distilleries if alcohol was legal at that time? Probably, but he probably wouldn't be making as much money as they did because it was illegal. So environment influence the outcomes. That's what it is. Pearl, you trying to deny it is just dumb. You're trying to say, well, people are responsible. Yeah, John Kennedy's dad was responsible for selling liquor illegally. You're not wrong. If he got arrested today, or not today, but that during then, yeah, he would have had the right to go to jail. But the environment, what was the major environment at the time? It was they made alcohol illegal, knowing fully well that there was a massive demand for it. Guess who filled in the gap? The criminals did. A lot of them did. And a bunch of people got rich. It's no different. Environment makes a person. It doesn't matter if you're good or bad. If the incentives are there, you would do something that's illegal just to, get to where you need to be. People, bro, the life isn't, a fucking game where you could just try to make these black and white moralistic choices all the time. Sometimes you have to be a little gray. This is how that works.
Political animal.
Well, that just sounds like a lot of words to me.
It is a lot of words.
That
I try to be.
that's making it a bit more complicated than it needs to be, from my point of view.
Yeah, I think it's just describing reality.
And no, I think
but it's not
I think reality is that you are responsible for the decisions you make. I think that's the best. One thing I'm really grateful for. In my
how does one make a decision? I guess might help us to break through this impasse. How does one make a decision?
How does one you weigh the pros and the cons and you make a decision?
Okay, so you weigh the pros and the cons is part of it, and then you make a decision. So making a decision is just an exercise of the will. I think you're close, but
are you the CEO of decision making?
No, I'm just I'm using my reason to examine an aspect of human nature. Mm-hmm. How does one know the pros and the cons?
It depends what decision, but
just in general, how does one know pros? How does one know cons?
Let's take abortion. Can I use an example? Is that allowed?
Please.
All right, abortion. You get pregnant, you Google abortions, then you can decide. And you can weigh the pros and the cons.
So Google is one way.
That's not even what the fuck. Oh yeah, abortions. Let's Google. That's not. There's so many emotional roller coasters you're going through with that. It's not just a simple. Let me look up abortions and then I get abortion. That's not weighing the pros and the cons, dog. That a woman, for her to consider abortion, goes much deeper than that. And sometimes for very few women, it's shallow, it's surface level. But for the vast majority of women, it's a lot more than that, right? Oftentimes, it's even done through outside influencers, like a boyfriend or someone who wants to, hey, maybe we don't want to get this done. A lot of things that has to be considered before it's done. Y'all making it seem like women just do it out of the whim, right? No, maybe some, but it's not all women out here who are getting abortions aren't really, they're just doing it. They're not weighing the cost. No, even when they do weigh that cost, it goes much deeper than that. And even when they do make that decision, some of them, they get haunted about that even years afterwards, right? Of what it could have been, right? So again, trust me, it's not an easy decision that women just make off of women. So again, this is just more, trust me, bro. I know, because this is what I've heard from somebody else. This is a classic case of what that is.
The way that you exercise. So what we've
Yeah.
just concluded is the way that you
No,
exercise.
I used it as an example of one way.
No, I think
Yeah.
what you've said is right.
Okay.
But what we have
Yeah.
agreed upon now is that the way that one exercises free will, that is to decides on a course of action, is one tries to know something, right? And then one, with the knowledge that they've arrived at, exercises their will in accordance with that knowledge, and that is what we call a free choice. And the example you used is perfect, because if you Google something, knowing that Google is like the worst leftist company ever in the history of the world, you are very likely to get bad information,
No,
which is what people
totally did it because
You
because
did-
I was
you
tired.
didn't-
I was tired of the simping. I was really tired of it. I was because I kept hearing people blaming the men for women's like decision making when it came to abortion, and so I Googled.
Oh, you're saying Google gives you good.
So you Googled it, right? You Googled it, right? What did she say? Let me rewind that, because he just said you use Google, right? Oh, no. What? Hold up.
And the example you used is perfect, because if you Google something, knowing that Google is like the worst leftist company ever in the history of the world, you are very likely to get bad information,
No,
which is what people
totally did it because
did-
I was
you
tired.
didn't-
I was tired of the simping. I was really tired of it. I was because I kept hearing people blaming the men for women's like decision making when it came to abortion, and so I Googled.
Oh, you're saying Google gives you good information.
He cut her off, but she was about to say she Googled it.
I would say no. Google, the top thing when it's that you put in side effects of abortion are depression, anxiety.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think you're responsible for your choices.
But okay, but in principle, you just came to a really important aspect of free will, which is that free will is at least in principle. Even if I don't like Google, you like Google, but let's put that aside.
Well,
it actually
Bing's
doesn't matter.
a little bit better.
Bing might be better. Ask
Yeah.
you.
I'm done. Said nobody ever. Like one of the top search results for Bing is Google. People are using Bing to get the Google Chrome. The fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm done. I can't do this. I can't do this anymore, Chad. That might have been the last straw for me. You want to tell you use Bing? Really? Their search engine is better. Fuck out of here, bro! You fucking liar! Get the hell out of here! Like, what are you? Oh my goodness, bro! No, I use Bing instead. No. Like at best, people are using Firefox. All right, or a Brave browser or something like that. Ain't nobody. Yeah, let me go ahead and pull up a Bing from Microsoft Edge. Fuck, bro, get out. You definitely lying, bro. Like, get out of here. Ain't nobody searching on Bing.
But you said you've come to the correct conclusion, which is that free will is the ability to do something is predicated on willing something, and that is predicated on knowledge. Now, what I am saying, the reason why I'm saying that your social environment and your education has some bearing on how you can exercise your free will is that when people are fed a bunch of BS as knowledge by the schools, by the media, by Hollywood, by everything, then that is, let me just finish my point. Okay. Then when your knowledge base, that you are, the intellectual aspect that you're basing your free action on is compromised and false, then you are going to will based on a lie, and your very ability to...
Charlie, only if you're using Tails. All right, because some people they'll just download the fucking browser app and then they'll think that they're automatically using Tor. No, you got to get that on a USB stick. All right, it's got to be Tails, and then make sure you're up to date on the updates. Otherwise, if you're accessing the dark web or you're accessing, I'm not teaching you guys how to do anything, but if you are going to access it that way, just get a thumb drive and do it, because you will get tracked. It's so easy. I've seen it. It's easy. You're not anonymous on Tor if you're not using Tails or something, bro. But I don't know. I don't want to continue with this. I'm done. Pearl clearly doesn't know what she's talking about, bro. I don't know. I don't want to do this no more, Chad.
Act in a rational way is going to be compromised by your experience in your environment.
But you are still responsible for the decisions that you make. And that's my point. I just don't like excuses. I don't like blaming everybody. I
just wonder if,
I
seems
think
you're not.
I think that women.
You just.
I think you're overcomplicating it a little bit.
No,
From my point of view.
I think I am articulating what you said,
Mhm.
which was true actually,
Mhm.
but then you reached a non sequitur conclusion, which is you said, actually, yeah, our environment does kind of.
I
have
didn't say
something
it
to do
doesn't.
with
I
how we
don't say
make
it doesn't
choices.
play an effect. I'm
Yeah.
saying that you're responsible for the choices you make, and
Ultimately, that's necessarily true.
that's my point. And so when you're constantly blaming everybody else for the decisions that you make, and I see that a lot with women. I see it's the government's fault, it's your school system's fault. Even
But it is those things. It is actually those things, Pearl. It's not, we can't just skip over, like, the main elephant in the room, which is the government. They're obviously, anytime the government gets involved in anything, they always make it worse. So the fact that we're not trying to blame them, but let's go ahead and just blame the women. I mean, we're just using the government. That's just an excuse. Clearly, women are just horrible people. Why don't we just blame the women for once? Shut up, Pearl. Like, what are you doing? You just hate women. That's what this is.
even though I mean, really, the school system's run by women.
Yeah, well, the
teachers are mostly women.
Yeah, I mean, I get sure. Ultimately, the country.
Yeah, the media. Women make 80%.
Biden,
Women make 80% of consumer buying decisions. So the media is catering to women.
Yeah, sure. I'm not denying any of.
Yeah.
I'm not really denying any of these things. I'm confused because we seem to have arrived at this. You seem to be contradicting yourself. But
yeah, she's a contrarian. This is grifting 101.
Where am I contradicting?
By acknowledging that the ways that we get knowledge will affect the way that we can exercise our free will, but then saying that the ways that we get knowledge, which are by definition environmental, don't actually affect our
you can also get knowledge through life experience and
it's still anecdotal.
Like watching people that are older.
But you don't experience life alone. You experience life in community, which is my point.
Yeah. Well, my point, I'm not trying to overcomplicate this, is just that women are.
I think we're undercomplicating it, unfortunately,
well,
which is why you've reached an erroneous conclusion.
No, I think that women were responsible for the choices that we make, and I'm just not really into. I'm really not into
that. Okay, if women are responsible for the choices they make, so are men. If both a man, it's not like a woman chooses a guy to have sex with, and the man didn't want to have sex with her, but somehow they had a baby. And no, it's not that. Clearly, the man wanted it too. Again, you saying, "Oh, we got to hold the women accountable." Okay, then what about the man, Pearl? That's the part you're missing. It takes two to tango when it comes to these things.
I'm just not into it. Yeah, go ahead.
What do you say? So, Pearl's producer, basically what you're trying to get at is you're saying regardless of how they got there, if a sin is a sin, it's all a sin. Yo, Pearl, you have to let this nigga. She had to make a phone call to the goddamn producer. The producer ain't got no mic, but he's trying to save her. Oh my God, you can tell this is bad. This is all around bad.
Still sin, regardless if the culture tells you it's okay to do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's still sin. You still have to answer for that consequence.
So what?
Yeah.
So what our friend Glenn has mentioned here off camera is he made the point, an apt point for this discussion, which is that a sin is a sin, whether you want to do it or not. But that actually is not the traditional teaching of the church. There are certain Protestant denominations that say that that's true, but the traditional teaching of the church, still the teaching of Catholic Church and Eastern Orthodoxy, is that there are different types of sin. There is venial sin, and there is mortal sin. And what's the difference? The difference is that a mortal sin is committed with full knowledge and with your consent. So the reason
women not know they're getting rid of the dads in the home.
I think.
Oh my God, bro! What? Just let him finish the fucking point. I don't even know what the fuck he's doing. I don't know what he's trying to say anymore. You just keep interrupting him. Let him just make his goddamn point.
Women are fed a bunch of lies by our modern liberal feminist culture, and it doesn't obviate the fact that what they're doing is often sinful, but it does create an important distinction. And the reason I really don't mean to be pedantic on this point, but this is like the fundamental distinction between a liberal individualist worldview and a more conservative traditional classical worldview is what free will is. And the liberals on the left and the right believe that freedom is the ability to do whatever you want whenever you want to do it, and the conservatives believe that freedom is doing what you ought to do.
So what sin are women not responsible for?
What do you mean?
What?
Like what? Like, I'm confused at your point. Like what sin are women not responsible
I'm saying there's
for?
I'm saying that
He's not making that statement that women aren't responsible for sin or anything like that. He's just saying, listen, it all boils down to it takes two to tango. Women aren't solely culpable of all of these actions. It takes a man has to be held responsible too. It's not just the women's fault. That's in a nutshell what he's trying to get through your fat, thick head skull. You're not listening. You're so confused. Now you're like, well, what do you mean? So now you think women are just absolved of sins? Like, what? You're not listening, bro. Like, what's going on?
So are you saying they're venial sins?
I'm saying that there is a distinction between venial and mortal sin. And
Okay.
I'm suggesting that knowledge and consent to sin
Right.
are integral parts.
I'm just trying to apply what you're saying to the analogy. So if women are
Oh, you let him finish. And if he finishes his point, maybe you can apply what the fuck he's saying. But let him finish what he's saying, please, so I can know what he's trying to say. Jeez.
choosing to get STDs, abortions, be single mothers,
Yeah.
alienate children from their
I'm saying that
dads,
when
you know,
I'll tell you exactly what I'm saying.
where in this
No, I'll tell you
in this
exactly what
process are they
when women
sort of responsible?
when women have been
not?
raised their whole lives,
Mhm.
probably maybe by divorced parents, raised their whole lives to be told to pursue a career rather than family, to go on the birth control pill at age
Mhm.
12, to go to college and study some stupid nonsense and get a
Mhm.
$200,000 student loan as a result of that.
But it's not just women being told that. It's all of society, because the student loan industrial complex is like churning out future debt. Like that's like there's no tomorrow. They're handing this shit out like candy. A lot of kids are, men or women, they're getting handed out mortgage loans essentially to go to school. So it's not a unique women thing. It's just that women are attending school more. They're over involved in school, which is what it is. But society has always promoted that we should go to school. It's just with the equality now, we're putting that out there for women. Same thing when we're trying to get women in STEM, right? It's out there now. Now we want more women to join in, and once more women do, it's gonna catch up to the rate of men. I'm seeing a lot of more women getting involved in IT. I'm seeing a lot more women getting involved in engineering. I've seen a lot more in women in getting involved in STEM because it's getting promoted out there now. Does that mean it's a bad thing? No, it's not a bad thing. Again, this is where I have to deviate from a lot of the strict conservative type of thinking, because it's not. You can say, yeah, society as a whole is telling women to do that, but society as a whole has been telling people to go to college for a very long time. It's nothing new. It's just that now that the government jumped into student loans, they're basically guaranteeing it. So if they're going to guarantee a loan, guess what? A banker's going to do? They're going to overissue it. They're not going to go through the normal credit checks that they would do, right? The risk analysis. If an 18-year-old were to go buy a house right now, because the government's not ensuring that, a bank's not going to give that loan out, right? Because the government's not backing that loan. They're not going to give an 18-year-old a mortgage loan because they know the 18-year-old ain't. They don't have the tools to be able to pay it back. But a college loan is different because the government backs it. So if the government backs it and guarantees it, so it basically means, all right, yeah, the banks, they're not going to do their normal risk analysis. They're just going to issue the loan. And when you have a bunch of banks over issuing a bunch of student loans, then it starts to feed the complex. Now you start to get marketing around it. Now you got to start, all these different colleges are popping up now because bankers are giving out loans like crazy. So people will just pop up with a college and they'll try to recruit kids because they want the money, because it's a guaranteed thing. When the government gets involved, almost always it goes south. So we have to check that. Maybe we should remove government's involvement with backing student loans. And then maybe, who knows, banks will stop giving these things out like they're hotcakes or candy on a fucking street corner. How about that? And if banks stop giving it, make it harder for students at 18 to get credit like that, maybe when people are choosing or deciding to go to school, they'll probably take it a little bit more seriously. Or the bank would consider their degree a little bit more seriously before they hand them the loan. So what is the probability you're going to get a good job once they graduate before they give you that loan, right? It's, again, checks and balances. It's all it is. But to sit there and say, oh, women, we got to blame the women. It's because, they're doing all this stuff and society is telling them they need to do it. That's what feminism is doing. You lost me. It doesn't make any sense to me because I'm looking at all these other signs and society's telling us to do the same thing too, buddy. Just saying.
That there's no such thing as right and wrong. There's no such thing as virtue. You just got to go get your bag, and maybe you're going to end up on OnlyFans because you can make more money doing that than you can waitressing. When they're told that for their entire lives, it's not that they don't bear any moral responsibility, but it is greatly reduced compared to someone who has proper knowledge and the exercise of their will.
Oh, see, I've been on the other side of this.
What's the other side?
No, the other side is
Really?
it doesn't matter.
I'm done. I'm done. I've been on the other side of it. What is it? It doesn't matter. What the fuck is the point?
Who has proper knowledge and the exercise of their will.
Oh, see, I've been on the other side of this.
What's the other side?
No, the other side is it doesn't matter.
Why doesn't it matter?
No, because again, it's like you tell women these things, younger women, but women are going to do what they want to do.
I guess I'm just confused
anyways.
because previously you said that it's all different now because of the social conditions
Oh,
have changed. But now you're saying it
no,
doesn't.
no,
actually
I'm saying
matter,
I'm saying
social
there's more
conditions.
freedom. I'm saying there's more freedom for women to do what they want to do. And I think that when you have the
By
most
the liberal
freedom,
definition of freedom.
I think when you have the most choice, you see what people truly want to do.
No. When people have a lot of choice, they freeze up. People don't do good with options, bro. I don't think you understand human psychology as you think. People freeze up when there's too much options. They can't decide. They become indecisive when there's too much options. People actually work better when there's not a whole lot of options or limited options. When there's limited options, it makes it easier to choose. For instance, if I have to choose between 3 different options versus 15, it's much easier for me to look at 3 options, analyze them, and make a decision versus looking at all 15 different options and just having to try to analyze all that. Yeah, I could do that, but it's going to take me too long. It's going to be overwhelming, and weighing the costs and benefits for all 15 choices is just going to be ridiculous. Okay, so it's easier for me if I have less options to choose from versus if I have more, because I'm going to be indecisive. That's just how human beings work. The fuck are you talking about?
Not what they say they want to do, but what they choose to do.
And how do people come to their desires? Is the point.
I know we're going to go back to Google, huh?
Oh my
No.
So I'm trying to
part of it
understand.
is through habit.
So
You know, if you get a guy
Mhm.
who is a Hunter Biden, you get a
Okay.
guy who's like a drug addict, derelict,
Yeah.
right? And you put him in a room with a
Mhm.
bunch of hookers and blow and a cello. And you say you can do whatever you want. You can go play Bach on the cello, or you can go hang out with the hookers and the blow. Hunter Biden or a guy like him probably not going to pick the cello.
Mhm.
But if you go to a guy who's relatively upright and who has cultivated virtue and believes that actually, if he
Mhm.
commits a lot of sins, he's going to just burn in hell for eternity, and he loves God and everything, and you put him in the room with the hookers and the blow and the cello, I'm not saying 100 times out of 100 he's going to pick the cello, but a lot of times that guy's going to pick the cello. And so those two guys have the same choice available to them, but their wills are inclined toward different things.
But you're still responsible for your sin.
Right.
Yes.
So okay, we
that's
get
it.
it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm not really in I don't think coddling women helps us.
I don't think
Not coddling women. You're just trying to find an excuse to blame women. That's it. Like, he's just trying to spread the accountability on both parties, right? Because you're trying to say it's a women's fault. He's saying, no, it takes 2 to tango. You don't get it, Pearl. I can't do this anymore. We've already went 20 minutes past the timestamp. We're done. I'm done with this, chat. I'm sorry. I can't. I told y'all, I can't even finish the sentence, bro. My mind is fried. I'm fried, bro. I don't know what to do or say. I think I might have brain damage, dog. I don't know what else to say. I'm fried. I'm fried. I don't know what else to say. My mind is just blown. The just unbridled stupidity that we just witnessed here today is just, it's mind numbing. I don't know what else to say, Chad. I'm literally at loss for words right now. I don't even know what I just watched. Just the interruption fest filled with a bunch of bad ideas coming from an idiot. That's all I saw. All I saw. I mean, just contradicting herself left and right. It's like, what do you like? I'm even frustrated just even trying to just summarize this whole thing. Okay, but you already know. What are y'all thinking right now? Okay, because some people in Pearl's camp, they think she absolutely bodied Michael Knowles. Okay. They think she absolutely bodies Michael Knowles. Y'all let me know what you think. I think Pearl just made herself look like the grifter idiot that she essentially, exposed herself to be. And yeah, it makes sense what Rolo was talking about, right? I still disagree with Rolo, but like she did not she definitely making pill poppers look stupid. And I think maybe that's the goal. And maybe we should encourage that goal, because I think the more people realize how ridiculous statements like Pearl and Rolo and all these guys make, I think maybe it can encourage a lot more people to stay away from these bozos. I don't know. I hope so. Okay, but again, this is just all around bad. But we do know one thing: Rolo wished it was him. Rolo wished he could have been him instead of Pearl. It's not happening. I think you're gonna see more of this shit where just mind-numbing nonsense like Pearl. It's just gonna get more views because at least she's authentic in her idiocy. Okay, Rolo, you're just dumb. You're just dumb, but you pretend to be smart. That's what's gonna make it so much. I mean, imagine if we had the same debate, but instead of Pearl, we had Rolo. It'd be that chat. It'd be that much unbearable. Honestly, it'd be that much unbearable. But okay, I'm glad we're able to get through this. I still don't think Pearl won this. I think she just made herself look like an idiot. All right, put a 1 if you think she did. Put a 2 if you didn't. If you put a 2 down, I'm not judging you. I just think it's very interesting. That's just the best thing I got to say. M. Dot with the 5. Shout out to M. Dot says she talks about holding women accountable, but wouldn't take accountability for a channel getting demonetized. She's blaming women. Ain't she blaming women for getting her channel demonetized? Ain't that what she's doing right now? Again, go figure. She herself doesn't even take her own pill, right? She wants to hold women accountable, but can't hold herself, a woman, accountable for the shit that she's done to get her channel banned. You know, hosting Nick Fuentes, doing Nazi salutes with Myron, or being appeared or being seen around Myron, doing Nazi salutes with Nick Fuentes. I don't know, all these different things that you could possibly do. You know, going on Twitter talking about how hot 16-year-olds are. We want to take accountability for that at some point, Pearl? No, right? Because I don't think Pearl thinks she's a woman. Chat. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think Pearl really thinks of herself as a woman, bro. I really don't think so. I mean, it just kind of makes sense why she hates women, because I don't think she sees herself as one. Either she has serious mommy issues that we don't know about, or maybe Pearl sees herself as a Paul. And that in that case, that would perfectly make sense on why she hates women that much, because usually when someone hates someone, it's coming from deep down, and it often they often are being held a mirror of that person, right? So usually when somebody hates someone, they just don't, something about that person they hate reminds them of them. That's essentially what it is, right? Something about that person reminds you of you. They're literally holding up a mirror and you don't like it. So that's where the hate comes from. So maybe something about women just hold up a mirror to Pearl. Maybe it reminds her that she is a woman too, but she wants to forget that she's a woman. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. I'm not a psychologist. I can only speculate. We can only speculate here in the chat. I just think that this hatred is not natural, because it doesn't make any sense. Like, you just going out of your way to not hold men accountable. Then how are men going to make the world better? How are men going to, lead and make women better? How can you be a leader if you can't be held accountable? It just doesn't even make any sense at this point. I don't care. I'm done with it. My brain is rotten, and I have to sleep this off. Y'all probably need to do something too, because your minds are probably fucked. I'm telling y'all right now, your minds are fried to shit. Okay, so go relax, go get a drink before you go to bed or something. All right, and thank you so much for enduring with me. This was quite the hoot. Okay, and I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
But ass.